Part 6. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 51. Sanking didn't expect that Lu Gui's target was actually the Prince of the East. After he crushed the flood road, he had disappeared in place. Sanking looked at the Prince of the East, who was beaten to the point that he only had one breath left, and he would die immediately. Yuan Shidao was so angry that he trembled, and they were tricked by the monkey in the 6 ears. Senior brothers, don't be angry, this monkey is weird, we may not have a chance to win if we fight. Tongtian Dao people, trying to appease Yuan Shidao people snorted coldly. My Panga banner hasn't been fully cultivated yet, and he has cultivated 2 levels higher than us. I don't believe in it. When I completely refine the heaven-opening treasure, I won't be able to compare to him. Let's go. After Yuan Shi finished speaking, he threw down his sleeves and wanted to leave. Lao Tzu said, this person's junior brother should save it. Yuan Shi originally didn't plan to save the Eastern Prince, and in his eyes, the Eastern Princes were just characters who could be used. However, Lao Tzu opened his mouth, and Yuan Shi would not refuse. He took out a bottle, which was the famous glass bottle in the future. In the bottle, it was filled with the supreme elixir of the flood desolation. Sangguang Shenshui. Yuan Shi dripped out 3 drops of Sangguang divine water, and the Prince of the East, who was crippled by Lu Gui and should have died, actually came back to life. Thank you, 3 senior brothers. Ashamed. Humph. Couldn't take Lu Gui, Yuan Shi was in a bad mood and walked away. When the people of Tongtian Dao saw his behavior, they didn't like it. These 2 senior brothers, they should also change their temperament when they are angry with people. Lao Tzu was silent. The Prince of the East hurriedly said, 3. That monkey has only been practicing for a while before you. I believe that if you senior brothers refine the heaven-opening treasure, you will definitely be able to take down that monkey. After the Prince of the East finished speaking, his heart palpitated. Speaking of Lu Gui, he couldn't help but wipe a cold sweat. Lao Tzu and Tongtian glanced at each other, and followed the Eastern princes back to the immortal court. At this time, Lu Gui had already come to a chaotic fragment under the guidance of the flood desolation road. It's not the first time he's experienced something like this, but he's familiar with it. Is this Yingzhou, or the abbot? Lu Gui felt the chaotic aura around him and knew that he had entered another immortal island. Although they are all chaos, Lu Gui found that there is still a slight difference between this place and Penglai Immortal Island. This place has gradually evolved from chaos to a world. Lu Gui was stunned. This shouldn't have been like this. Unless this immortal island is connected to the flood wilderness and invaded by the laws of the heavenly Dao, it will begin to evolve. But in Lu Gui's feelings, there is no such sign. He used his supernatural ability to hear and see, and sensed the center of the fragment, and there was a chaotic chi engulfing. The chaotic aura of this immortal island was almost completely swallowed by the things in the center. Interesting, there are still creatures here. Lu Gui flew towards the center of the fairy island. When he saw that in the center of the immortal island, a towering giant tree was towering, constantly swallowing chaotic energy, Lu Gui naturally knew, where was this immortal island? This is Yingzhou Immortal Island. It's Huangzongli. Lu Gui recognized this heaven and earth spiritual root from the fruit of the towering giant tree. Huangzongli, one of the 10 innate spiritual roots. The heel foot is the chaos spirit root, but with the opening of the world, after turning into the flood wilderness, the heel fell and became the innate spirit root. Legend has it that this tree will bloom as soon as it is a UN, bear fruit as soon as it is a UN, mature as a UN, and be edible as a UN. Its flowers are shaped like lotus flowers, and its fruits are shaped like pearls. Flowers and fruits all have the word Huangzhong. If the gods smell the fragrance of flowers, they can get 10,000 years of Taoism, and if they are lucky enough to eat a fruit, they can instantly become a Deluo Jinxian. It takes more than 400,000 years to produce 9 usable fruits. Although it is also an innate spiritual root, compared to the bitter bamboo that leads the Taoist, the Bodhi tree of the quasi-Taoist is not known how many times it is clever. Huangzongli, even among the top 10 innate spirit roots, is also the top existence. 10 innate spiritual roots. No, he's not an innate spirit root, it's a chaos spirit root. Lu Gui found that Huangzongli's grade was even higher than he imagined. I understand, in this piece of chaotic fragments, Huangzongli did not fall below the grade. He's crossing the tribulation, transforming into the heavenly tribulation. When Lu Gui saw Huangzongli, he finally understood why Yingzhou Xiandao began to evolve. Because Huangzongli absorbed most of the chaotic qi. And he devoured the chaotic qi because he wanted to transform into a shape. These 10 ancient spiritual roots, there are only a handful of spiritual roots that can truly transform into shapes. After calculation, only the Taoist of the ontological bitter bamboo, the quasi-Taoist of the ontology Bodhi tree, and the Yangmei Taoist of the hollow willow have successfully transformed into a Taoist. Everything else has been reduced to a treasure of heaven and earth. And the 3 great powers of transformation, the bitter bamboo and the Bodhi tree, only transformed after falling to their heels. Only Yangmei Dao people successfully transformed into 3,000 chaos demon gods when they were at the chaos spirit root. And the Huangzhong plum tree in front of him obviously wants to become the 4th spiritual root of the 10 major spiritual roots, and it is the transformation of the chaotic spiritual root. He devoured almost all of Yingzhu's chaotic aura. It's just to survive the transfiguration tribulation. It's better to come early than to come at a good time. Lu Gui looked at the chaos spirit root with a complicated expression, Huangzongli. He knew that if Huangzongli didn't interfere with others, the transformation would definitely fail. Because in Lu Gui's memory, Huangzongli would be in Yuanxi's hands in the future, and Yuanxi would be placed in a place within the Kunlun of the Jade Void Palace where there was still a remnant of chaotic vitality. At that time, Huangzongli was an innate spiritual root, obviously because of the failure of this tribulation. Therefore, in the future, he will be demoted to an innate spirit root, and then he will be discovered by Yuanxi later. Yingzhou Island is the opportunity of the beginning, just right. Lu Gui laughed, looked at Huangzongli in the distance, and sure enough, as he expected, Huangzongli's transformation was unsustainable. Boom! The heavenly tribulation tore Huangzongli's body. What was left of his consciousness began to dissipate. To save or not to save? A thought flashed through Lu Gui's mind. This matter, each has its own pros and cons. If Lu Gui is not saved, you can get a complete innate spirit root, whether it is beheading a corpse or transplanting. Huangzongli is a top natural treasure. However, Lu Gui quickly made a decision. Save, why don't you save? Saving Huangzongli is obviously more in line with his interests and Dao heart. Lu Gui thought for a while, sacrificed the purple gold-red gourd, a massive amount of 3 light divine water, and smashed it towards Huangzongli. Huangzongli was hung with his life. The spirit was greatly lifted, but the chaotic qi around him had been used up. Lu Gui is also not polite. Sacrifice the Hongmeng sword gourd, and endless chaotic qi gushes out. Huangzongli gained chaos qi, and finally barely survived the heavenly tribulation and turned into a boy in human form. Thank you for your help. The boy knelt in front of Lu Gui in an instant. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 52. Huangzongli turned into a child carved in pink and jade, with a chaotic air rotation on his body and a depressed expression. But fortunately, his chaos spirit root's heel was saved. Finally left alive. He knelt in front of Lu Gui, and Lu Gui was non-committal. Huangzongli thought for a moment, Senior, please accept me as a disciple. Huangzongli, who had just transformed into a shape, kowtowed to Lu Gui again. As a chaos spirit root, he could feel the coercion brought by the chaos demon god on Lu Gui's body. This kind of coercion, before Huang Zhongli transformed, the breath from his blood told him that this person was those terrifying demon gods when chaos first opened. The 3,000 chaos demon gods have created the 3,000 avenues of the desolate world. The demon gods who can monopolize a great avenue are the most powerful existences in the flood wilderness. Lu Gui looked at Huang Zhongli and nodded. This Huang Zhongli is still a chaos spirit root, and the transformed him is also an existence equivalent to the heel of the chaos demon god. He said, "Are you sure you worship me as a teacher?" Huang Zhongli didn't say a word, and knelt directly and kowtowed. "Okay, you will be a boy in Huangzhong in the future. This is the 9 turns Xiangong, the Ruyi book and the splitting heaven divine palm, you take it." Lu Gui taught Huang Zhongli the untransformed 9 turns Xiangong, the splitting heaven divine palm and the Ruyi book, thought about it for a while, and passed on the ancestral dragon ball that he couldn't use to him. Huang Zhong was very excited. Bluntly said that he would work hard for his master in the future. He was only half successful in transforming into a form, and only the golden immortal cultivated. Huang Zhongli thought for a while, and handed over all the fruits on his tree to Lu Gui. The 9 yellow plum fruits are different from the legends. This is the chaos spirit root level Huangzhong plum fruit, one goes down, straight to the peak of the great Luo golden immortal. Lu Gui looked at Huang Zhongtong with interest. "You yourself are the golden immortal, why don't you eat one?" Huang Zhongtong looked embarrassed. "Master, it's useless for me to eat." After he finished speaking, he coughed up a mouthful of blood, and Lu Gui frowned. Huang Zhongtongzi, although he used the 3 light god to rescue Huang Zhongli, he injured the origin and was already seriously injured. Even the 3 light divine water may not be able to fully recover from his injuries. Lu Gui had an idea and took out the ginseng fruit that Zhen Yuanzi gave him. The boy in Huangzhong looked at it and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. "Master, can I eat it?" The ginseng fruit, which is also the spiritual root of heaven and earth, has an inexplicable attraction to Huang Zhongli. Yes. Ginseng fruit has the effect of prolonging life and can also increase cultivation, but it has no effect on Lu Gui. He flew out 12 of them to Huang Zhongtongzi, and after Huang Zhongtong ate them, his injuries actually recovered a lot. "Thank you, Master, I feel that my injuries have recovered a lot. It turns out that this heaven and earth spirit root can restore my origin." Huang Zhongtongzi, after taking the ginseng fruit, his cultivation skyrocketed directly and entered the realm of Tai Golden Immortal. Heaven and earth spiritual root. "I see, apprentice, another day, you will respect me, and take you to find other heaven and earth spiritual roots to repair and cultivate for you." After Lu Gui understood, he appeased the boy in Huangzhong. Huang Zongzi bowed, "Thank you, Master." Shizun came to Yingzhou Island. "I want to come to find opportunities. I have lived in Yingzhou for countless years, and I am willing to lead the way for Shizun." Huang Zhongtong took Lu Hui and began to circle around Yingzhou Island. Sure enough, under the leadership of this native, Lu Gui has gained a lot, and one of the best heaven and earth spiritual roots is an enlightenment tea tree. Although this tree is not one of the top 10 spiritual roots, it is also very rare. Lu Gui passed the system and also got the enlightenment tea. This place is a good dojo by nature. Lu Gui looked around and found that with Huang Zhongli devouring the chaotic vitality, Yingzhou Island had become immortal. Compared to Penglai, who was bald by him, Yingzhou's environment is at least 10 times stronger. Hutu girl gave him advice to find a good dojo and build his own foundation. Lu Gui felt that it made sense. Seeing this Yingzhou Island at this time, he vaguely felt that the will of heaven was so. "Master, there are actually great powers here before." And, after he died, there was a coffin, which remained here. Oh! When Lu Gui heard what Huang Zhongtong said, he was stunned for a moment, and he immediately asked, "What you're talking about, It can't be the Qincan ancestor, right? Qincan ancestor was the one who besieged Rihua with Hongjun back then, and died on the spot after Rihua blew himself up. However, legend has it that he had a coffin and collected his body. And this coffin was later missing. After Lu Gui learned about it, he couldn't help but grin. Isn't this the lamplighter? The coffin of the ancestor of Qincan absorbed his power after his death and gave birth to the person who burned the lamp, and the everlasting lamp on the coffin was also accompanied by the natal spiritual treasure of the person who burned the lamp. This Taoist is the future deputy sect leader of the origin Taoist after he became sanctified. I thought that the lantern was enlightened in Vulture Mountain, but it turned out to be here. Come to think of it, after Yuan Shi became sanctified, he found Yingzhou Island, and then took away Randan and Huang Zhongli. It should be so. Lu Gui asked Huang Zhongboy to take him all the way to the underground of Yingzhou Island. After a while, they saw a dark coffin, and on the coffin, a dim lamp was shining. The words dark and bright light should have been in conflict. But this light naturally blends everything. The coffin lamp among the four innate lights, not bad. Lu Gui flew over and took down the coffin lamp on the coffin, and a superb innate spirit treasure fell into Lu Gui's hands again. At this time, the motionless coffin suddenly sensed that someone was moving his spirit treasure, and it erupted with endless corpse chi. Lu Gui smiled. A slap cracked the coffin. Taoist friends are. Spare your life. The coffin let out a scream, desperately begging for mercy. Lu Gui was unmoved. He knew who the person who had transformed the coffin was, the person who burned the lamp, and the shameless person who would be in the name of the future desolation. At this time, the lamp has not been completely transformed. It would take countless thousands of years for him to take shape. However, Lu Gui didn't plan to give him this opportunity. The quality of the burning lamp Dao person, he doesn't like it, so naturally he won't let him be born. With a casual wipe, the person who lit the lamp lost consciousness in the scream. Completely wiped out by Lu Gui. Lu Gui's ruthlessness startled the boy in Huangzhong, and he became more and more in awe of this master in his heart. This person is ruthless, it is not appropriate to stay for a long time. Instead of letting him live, it is better to keep the ruler in the coffin for yourself. Huang Zhongtong was shocked. Master, it's the first time you've come here, how do you know what's in this coffin? Lu Gui smiled. You respect me and know the world. After he finished speaking, he was ready to break the news. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 53. This coffin is the backhand left by the powerful ancestor of the desolation for himself. If he falls, this coffin is his back road. However, after all, he underestimated Luohu and Hongjun, and the so-called backhand became a joke. In the end, the resurrection did not come to fruition, but cheapened the coffin itself. His natal magic weapon, Qincan ruler, is in the coffin. Gained, with Dinggezu, you can evolve the heavens. The host broke the news that Qincan was determined by the Sea Pearl secret, the level of revelation, C, the reaction level, Fengruo God. Overall rating, B. The host obtains the innate spirit treasure, the umbrella covering the sky. The host has obtained supernatural powers to shake the kamikaze. The host has gained 50,000 years of mana. The host obtains the origin of power, and the origin of the earth each has one. Host splitting heaven's palm mission, 5/10. Lu Gui casually exploded a small piece of information, but he didn't expect it to have such an effect. A C-level student was pushed to B-level by Huang Zongtongzi, a little fan brother. Not bad. Lu Gui felt the benefits of having a little fan brother, at least some garbage materials, he could process them into good materials. He walked over to the coffin and unveiled the coffin. Sure enough, at the same time as the blood rushed out of the sky, a ruler appeared in front of the two. The boy in the yellow middle has a glint of worship in his eyes. Shizun really knows what is going on in the world. Lu Gui didn't see Huang Zongtang's adoring gaze, his attention was all on the Qincan ruler. Qincan ruler has fallen into an ordinary innate spirit treasure. Among the spiritual treasures obtained by Lu Gui, it is not worth mentioning. But Lu Gui knew that there was a great opportunity in Qincan. Within the ruler of Qincan, there is a world of heavens, which can evolve the heavens. The burning lamp in the future is to get the Qincan ruler, plus the Dingai divine pearl, and one body will evolve into the 24 heavens. After the evolution of the heavenly world, the burning lamp became the strongest existence under the saints. In Lu Gui's hands, there are 36 sea god beads, which can evolve into 36 heavenly worlds. Apprentice, you go out and retreat for the teacher. Lu Gui turned around and said a word to Huang Zhongtangzi, who nodded when he heard this. Get out of here. Lu Gui was in the dark underground, and began to retreat. He was holding a Qincan ruler in his hand, and the rippling spatial laws on this ruler were very amazing. The Qincan avenue of the ancestor of Qincan is also one of the 3,000 avenues. Belongs to the branch law of the avenue of space. This Qincan ruler is also known as the measuring ruler, but it is two magic weapons with the acquired merit to the treasure Hongmeng measuring ruler. It is an innate spirit treasure, and it is the first ruler of the chaos bell, the original best innate spirit treasure, but it was dropped to the realm of the innate spirit treasure. If I want to evolve the heavens, I better return to the most perfect state. Lu Gui took out the Hongmeng sword gourd. This gourd not only kills, but also has the merit of creation. He put the ruler into the mix. Unconsciously, tens of thousands of years have passed. Lu Gui finally restored the grade of the Qincan ruler to the grade of the best innate spirit treasure. Now, something big has come true. It's time to evolve the heavens. He pointed the Qincan ruler to the void, and at the same time sacrificed 36 Dingai divine beads. 36 Dingai divine beads, each of which burst out with endless power of mountains and seas, was extremely powerful. The Qincan rule of the Qincan ruler is directly integrated into the Dingai Shenzhou and booms. The two exploded violently, and under the influence of the law of the Qincan ruler, the Dingai divine bead was like opening the world, frantically absorbing the surrounding aura and devouring it into the Dingai pearl. The 36 Dingai pearls gradually evolved into chaos, and then from chaos, the primordial, yin and yang, and gradually evolved into all things. After this lamp gets Dingaizu, no wonder he can become the first person under the saint. The evolution of the 36 heavens also brought him the experience of opening the heavens and the earth. Lu Gui felt the process of the 36 Dingai pearls gradually evolving into 36 worlds, and he was very happy. This kind of experience is not something that anyone can have the opportunity to get. The benefits of an evolved world of 36 heavens are immeasurable. The world of the desolation also has clear hierarchies, 36 worlds, just a very small microcosm, roughly equivalent to a cave sky, but the laws are complete. 36 worlds are small, but they add up to terrifying. The moment Lu Gui evolved into the 36 worlds, the endless mana directly washed over his physical body. He was pushed to the pinnacle realm of quasi-saint by the power of rage. Bang! The Hongmeng purple chi that had been hidden in Lu Gui's body began to be refined by Lu Gui. Purple chi wrapped around the merits he obtained. Lu Gui seemed to see the scenery above. Saint, soul to heaven. No way. Seeing that he was wrapped in the merits he had obtained from Hung Jun's preaching, it seemed that he was about to push him to the realm of a saint. Indifferently, this does not mean that he will definitely be able to become holy, but Lu Gui has at least seen the scene above the saint. With Laozi and Hung Jun's festival, I preach the heavenly Dao sage, which is equivalent to giving myself to Hung Jun to handle. And, heavenly Dao sage, it's not my way. I am the demon god of war, fighting the heavens and the earth, not to be a slave to the heavenly Dao. Honghuang suppressed his impulse to preach as a saint and suppressed it to the death. His path has already been chosen, and he does not need the gift of heaven. Lu Gui's forcible suppression of the action provoked the existence of an unknowable depth. Dao ancestor Honghuang, consciousness swept around in the flood wilderness. Why do I feel someone preaching? My disciples, it's too early to preach according to reason. Hongzhen's face was a little ugly, but he couldn't get an answer. He thought for a long time, and slowly entered the fixed state. At this time, Yingzhou Island. The 36 heavens have gradually evolved. After the fusion of Dingaizu and Qincan ruler, the state of the 36 heavenly worlds was very peculiar to Lu Gui. It's a bit like a magic weapon, and it's a bit like a supernatural power. But something even more strange happened. At the moment of the evolution of the 36th world, Lu Gui had another urge to behead the corpse. This is how I beheaded the corpse for the second time. Lu Gui didn't expect that the opportunity for his second corpse beheading was actually the 36 heavens world. However, he didn't think much about it, and directly cut out a clone and landed in the middle of the 36 worlds. Rumble. The color of heaven and earth changed, and when Lu Guiwenchen fell on the 36 worlds, the 36 worlds finally separated yin and yang, and evolved the heavens and 10,000 ways. And his consciousness melted into this world and became the master of the 36 worlds. A Taoist appeared in front of Lu Gui. Heavenly Deists, meet Deists. Lu Gui's second doppelganger is called the Heavenly Dao Man. Meet the Heavenly Deists. Lu Gui returned the salute to his doppelganger, and he observed the state of the Heavenly Dao people, unexpectedly surprised. The potential of the Heavenly Dao people is actually higher than he imagined. These Heavenly Dao people, if they have a chance, may be able to preach independently. In Lu Gui's mind, a crazy idea flashed. At this time, the boy in Honghuang, who was guarding Lu Gui, vaguely sensed it. The heavens have changed greatly, and this chaotic fragment Yingzhou Island seems to be about to be born. On the other side, Kunlun Mountain, the Yuanshi Dao people who were in retreat, suddenly awakened. The other two of the three Qings asked. Yuanshi, what's wrong with you? You just cut out the third corpse, don't you go to cultivate the Yuanshen? Yuanshi Dao people are excited. Two senior brothers, I sense that the East China Sea was born by chance. This chance has something to do with me. Lao Tzu, when I heard the words, I couldn't help but be happy. Then congratulations to senior brother, I'll go together and sweep the battle for senior brother. Yuan Shi Tianzun was complacent, and the three Qings went together. It's just that the people of Tongtian Dao frowned. Tokai. Inside Yingzhou Island, underground. Lu Gui looked at the Heavenly Daoist and fell into deep thought. The Heavenly Daoist was the second corpse he cut off. And it is the most special one, but I felt a little surprised by the state of the Heavenly Dao human body. These Heavenly Daoists have the foundation of enlightenment. There is an opportunity to be sanctified. You must know that it is impossible for the three corpses beheaded by normal Taoists to have this effect. The three corpses are relatively independent existences that the Daoists cut out with the primordial spirit fusion of the best spiritual treasure. It is different from the clone that changes from the one gasification and three clear supernatural powers. That kind of doppelganger is just a supernatural power, consuming the power of Lu Gui's body. And there is a time limit, and it will disappear if it is too far away from Lu Gui. And the doppelgangers cut out by the quasi-saints are relatively independent, and they don't need to be nurtured by the body. The three corpse clones cut out by the Taoist can survive far away from the body. It's like the future quasi-Ti Taoist cut out the Bodhi patriarch and lived in Fankan Mountain for a long time. However, the three corpses are not without their shortcomings. Cutting three corpses requires the fusion of magic weapons, and the grade of the magic weapon is related to the strength of the three corpses. but even the strongest 3 corpses will be lower than the ontology cultivation. As for the saints who preach, it is impossible for the 3 corpses to follow the preaching, and at most they will remain under the saints, the strongest state. Therefore, after the sermon, the 3 corpses almost became chicken ribs. If you are close to the main body in battle, you may be able to get infinitely close to the saint with the help of some power from the main body. If it is far away, it is at most a sub-saint. If, the heavenly Deo people in front of them can have the potential of enlightened saints. This is equivalent to Lu returning to himself, and he can preach twice. Possess the power of 2 saints. And, if he had a good chance, maybe more. I already understand, where did my chance to kill 3 corpses come from? Lu Gui got the information about his chance to kill 3 corpses from the Dingai Divine Pearl, and he was very surprised. After knowing how to go in the future, he was determined. Heavenly Deo people, after beheading the corpse, it is just the peak cultivation of De Luo Jin Immortal. Lu Gui thought for a moment and gave him a Huang Zhongli. This Huang Zhongli is the Huang Zhongli of the Chaos Spirit root level. It is much stronger than the later generations in the hands of the first sage. The heavenly deists took Huang Zhongli, and they shared the perception of Lu Gui, and directly entered the quasi-saint realm. Moreover, his potential is not yet exhausted. Mana continues to grow. Fellow deist, I want to meditate and retreat. As it should be. After the heavenly Deo people finished speaking, they turned into a ray of light and fell into Lu Gui's body. His so-called retreat is actually a retreat with Lu Gui. Lu Gui felt the power of the 36 worlds transmitted at the same time, and Rao was prepared and very shocked. 36 worlds, although they are micro-worlds, the laws are clear. These worlds input mana for me, and it's almost impossible for me to worry about the lack of mana anymore. This is the power of the heavenly worlds after the evolution of Dinggezu and Kinkan ruler. With a wave of his hand, he carried the power of the 36 worlds. In the face of attack, there are also 36 worlds as a backing. Offensively and defensively, almost perfectly. These 36 worlds, if I can upgrade them, I don't know what will happen. In Lu Gui's mind, this crazy thought flashed, and he could no longer suppress it. His Hongmeng sword gourd has an almost endless chaotic chi, and he still has the origin of the law. You can try it. He tried, took out the Hongmeng sword blade, and injected wisps of chaotic chi into one of the worlds. The world was injected with chaotic vitality, and it suddenly boiled like water in a pot of oil. The heavenly deists who were in retreat frowned. Lu Gui smiled, casually took out an earth origin, and threw it into that world. Bang! When the origin of the earth and the chaotic vitality merged, that world began to evolve, and at the same time, the heavenly Deo people incarnated in the heavenly world were also surging. The origin of the earth and the chaotic energy tumbled, as if it were about to collapse the world. However, with the joint efforts of Lu Gui and the heavenly Deo people, the world stabilized. Sure enough, you can upgrade. When he saw the world that had doubled in size, Lu Gui was overjoyed. His idea was indeed reliable. If he had enough origin, he could turn the 36 heavenly worlds into a world island condensed by the 36 laws. When the time comes, the fusion of the heavenly worlds will probably be no less than an innate treasure. Even. No wonder the heavenly deists have the heels of enlightenment and sanctification. If he evolves, maybe it's another hollow willow, Yang Mei deist. A hint of surprise flashed in Lu Gui's eyes. If they can evolve to the level of Yang Mei Deo people, the potential of the heavenly Deo people is simply endless. Yang Mei Deoran Hollow Willow, as one of the top 10 spiritual roots second only to Qinglian, the space demon god, has only one world in his body. Even if he was as strong as Hung Jun, he was not counted to death, but Hung Jun suffered a big loss in the hands of Yang Mei. Such a character, Lu Gui knew that he had become holy. It's just because I'm afraid of Honghuang that I hid outside the flood and didn't come back. If you are like Yang Mei Daoren, you can directly open up a small world, then you will be at ease. Lu Gui thought of this, and then looked at the heavenly Taoists in retreat. After a while, he was infinitely close to the middle stage of the quasi-saint. Then I'll help you. Lu Gui also entered a state of avoiding light, and did his best to help the heavenly Dao people to be promoted to quasi-saints. And at this time, Yingzhou Island. The boy in Honghuang saw that the heaven and earth in Yingzhou began to shake. The sky is faintly cracked, and wisps of rules extend from the desolate world. Along with the entry of the rules of the heavenly Dao, there is also the joy of being able to accept a piece of chaos fragment, and the reward. The merits of the sky washed over the Honghuang boy. The cultivation of the boy in Honghuang skyrocketed at an unimaginable speed. In the middle of the Tai Immortals. In the late period of Tai Immortals. The pinnacle of Tai Immortals. De Luo Jinxian. Peak. Rumble. Honghuang boy, in a few short years. Break through the great Luo Golden Immortal and enter the quasi-saint realm. He stood up happily and wanted to report the good news to Lu Gui, but Lu Gui was under the earth and had been closed. He looked at the gradually cracking sky, and the fairy atmosphere of Yingzhou Island. Once again, he turned into a yellow plum tree and entered a state of retreat. However, Honghuang soon heard the sound of someone talking faintly outside the island. Immortal Island is born. Another fairy island was born. Those immortals in the East China Sea witnessed the birth of Yingzhou Immortal Island and ran to tell each other. If it weren't for the fact that Yingzhou Island and the flood wilderness were merging, the strong qi waves would not be approachable by ordinary people, and many people couldn't wait to come in and explore. At this time, the Penglai Immortal Court moved, and the East Prince, the West Queen Mother, and the immortals in the sky gathered in an instant. On the other hand, Sanking also stepped into the East China Sea. The people of the Yuan Shi Dao sensed the auspicious Rui of the East China Sea and were very happy. Senior brother, that distance is my chance. But it's strange, junior brother, I feel like this opportunity is ahead of schedule. Yuan Shi Dao was slightly puzzled, but he didn't think much about it. Sanking sped up and flew in the direction of Yingzhou Immortal Island. This time, unlike Penglai Immortal Island, the people who came were very late. In the process of merging Yingzhou Immortal Island and Honghuang, the startling movement temporarily stopped everyone outside. Yuan Shidao people, seeing that the East Princes and the West Queen Mother are also there, oversees Immortal Mountain, many of the 3,000 guests in Hongchen are there. The Dragon Clan Yu Lao Qinglong, as well as the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Overseas Immortals by Yongxian and Weun Immortal are two ancestors. The first drop of true water in the first innate shape is an ancestor and so on. These people were staring at each other, which made Yuan Shi couldn't help but snort coldly. This opportunity was his own fate, and no one else could interfere. At this time, the Prince of the East also saw the arrival of Sanking and flew over to salute. It turned out to be three senior brothers, and you also sensed the opportunity here and came to hunt for treasures. Yuan Shidao's face was expressionless. This seat senses that there is a fate that I am destined to have here, and I am afraid that there is another disciple who will appear here. When the Prince of the East heard this, he saluted and couldn't help but scold. Yuan Shi's attitude is too shameless, and things haven't appeared yet, so he keeps talking about his chance. Is this an attempt to monopolize this new fairy island? The Prince of the East was impassive on the surface, and he was about to speak, a group of uninvited guests, to attract their attention. Nuwa, Daijun, Taiyan, Fuxi and other heavenly court people also arrived together. When the enemies saw each other, they were very red-eyed. The two of them, the Prince of the East and the Emperor Jun, suddenly had a turbulent undercurrent. As the Emperor of the Demon Clan, why did Jun come? Here in the fairy island, the two majesties may be able to get some immortal fate and please those two fairies. Nuwa smiled. Yan Yan, and Daijun and Tai nodded frequently. It's just that at this time, when the two sides converge, the atmosphere is tense. The Prince of the East sarcastically said, Emperor Jun, Tai, why did you come to my East China Sea? Tai sneered, Eastern Prince, the East China Sea is your territory. The Dragon Clan is also my Demon Clan, and the two of us, as the Demon Emperor of the Demon Clan, patrol the East China Sea, why not? Tai's words directly angered the Dragon Clan next to him. Qinglong, Tai, what do you mean? My Dragon Clan didn't agree to join the Demon Clan. Dijun smiled, Qinglong, the Dragon Clan has long been not the overlord of the year, my Dijun is not discussing with you, but informing you. Whether you agree or not, we will talk about this slowly, and my brother will come to the door with the Chaos Clock to talk to you. The Demon Clan openly threatened, and the Green Dragon exploded. However, Tai's combat power has shocked the Flood over the years, and how many big demons in the Flood have been hit by him one by one with the Chaos Bell. Qinglong didn't want to be impulsive for the time being. The situation present, Yingzhou Xiandao has not yet opened, and it has become chaotic. Sanking stood in the crowd, and after Nuwa saw it, take the initiative to go over and salute. See the three senior brothers. Nuwa and Sanking met, and the atmosphere was not too good. Although the two sides are brothers and sisters, they each have agents in front of them, so the relationship is naturally not much better. However, the relationship between the brothers and sisters still has to be maintained. Laozi said, Senior sister Nuwa, who are you? Nuwa smiled lightly. The red hydrangea passed on to Nuwa by Shizun has helped people to prove the merits of the three marriages of heaven, earth, and people. This junior sister, I see that His Majesty Daijun is still single, and I am preparing to be a matchmaker for him, seeking a marriage one. This fairy island was born, didn't I come and take a look? When the Yuanshi Dao people heard this, they couldn't help but sneer. He originally looked down on Nuwa and disliked her as a demon clan. Nuwa is now coming to seize the opportunity, and he naturally doesn't have a good face. He said, it's a coincidence, senior brother, I also feel that on this Penglay immortal island, I was born by chance. When the time comes, everyone will do their own thing. He said it murderously, and Nuwa was also a little unhappy. Although she is the weakest of all the disciples, it doesn't mean she doesn't have a temper. Nuwa's expression was solemn and she flew back to the camp of Emperor Huntai. Senior brother, Nuwa is a junior sister after all. Laozi advised Yuanshi to say a word, but Yuanshi snorted coldly and did not say a word. At this time, the heavens and the earth shook. The run-in between Tiandao and Yingzhou Immortal Island has finally come to an end. A fairy mountain treasure island gradually showed its true face in front of everyone. Sanking was overjoyed, and the Yuanshi Daoist sense of his fate became more and more obvious, so he simply sacrificed the Pangu flag, took the lead, and flew to Yingzhou. Laozi and Tongtian Taoist, one left and one right. Hold on to the side of the Yuanshi Dao people. The Prince of the East and others, seeing that Sanking was in the lead, also followed. Overseas scattered immortals and demon clan teams all flew towards Yingzhou quickly. It seems that I am afraid that I will be too late and will miss the opportunity. As soon as the immortals entered the island, they felt that the immortal spirit was full of vitality, and this was definitely a blessed land of spiritual mountains. Yingzhou Island, after tens of thousands of years of development, has gradually given birth to many spiritual plants. Although there are no living creatures, they also look vibrant. The eyes of the immortals lit up. This kind of place, even if there is no chance, it is good to grab it and use it as a dojo. Enlightenment tea tree, that's enlightenment tea tree. I don't know which immortal found a tea tree blooming on the cliff and shouted in surprise. When the immortals heard about the enlightenment tea tree, their spirits were greatly lifted. This is the famous heaven and earth spiritual root of the flood wilderness. The tea leaves of the Enlightenment tea tree, before the Long Han tribulation, were vaguely circulated in the wilderness. No matter where it is placed, it is a natural treasure. Enlightenment tea can help immortals to achieve enlightenment, even if it is a piece, it is a treasure that is cherished. Not everyone can be like Lu Gui, who can obtain the origin of the law, and can realize the Tao by swallowing it directly. Just like Honghuang uses the jade butterfly to help sentient beings realize the Tao and make sentient beings crazy. Every enlightened treasure is the immortal chasing great opportunity. Usually they can have a little enlightenment tea, it is very remarkable, and now they see a thriving tea tree. This tea tree is mine. This is the treasure of my Penglai immortal court. The Emperor of Heaven travels, back down. Before other treasures appeared, the major forces almost fought for this enlightened tea tree. Enlightenment tea, not only Emperor Jun and they want, but also Sanking and Nuwa, are also very tempted. These disciples, after they got the Hongmeng purple chi from Hongzhen's hands, they cultivated day and night, which can be regarded as pushing their cultivation to a very high level. But what made them most depressed was the Hongmeng purple chi, which could not be refined for a long time. And the so-called sermon chants, I don't have a clue at all. If you can get enough enlightenment tea, it may be a good way to accumulate it over time. Sanking, Nuwa, both turned their eyes to the enlightenment tea. Except for the beginning. When other immortals were rushing madly on Yingzhou Island, Hongzhen saw the towering giant tree in the center of Yingzhou Island. At that moment, the giant tree swallowed its vitality, the sea of clouds rolled, and it was the spiritual root of heaven and earth at a glance. But it's a pity that there is no spiritual fruit on the top, and the Yuan Shi Dao people can't recognize what the giant tree is for a while. He flew over, and the others noticed his movements. The innate spiritual root, that is the innate spiritual root, no less than the gourd vine on the Buzhu mountain. No, it seems better. One person noticed Yuan Shi's movements and couldn't help but be cautious. Yuan Shi Daoist walked up to Huangzhong Lishu and exclaimed, Chaos Spirit Root. This sentence stirred up 1,000 waves with one stone. All the immortals became hot-eyed. Chaos Spirit Root, there is still a Chaos Spirit Root in this world? The high-level people on the island instantly felt that this enlightenment tea tree was no longer fragrant, and walked towards Huangzongli. The Chaos Spirit Root must have a supernatural ability. This is the common sense of the wilderness, even if there is no ability, if you can use this spiritual root to kill 3 corpses, it will be great luck. When the Yuan Shi Daoist was about to move Huangzongli, Dijun sneered. Yuan Shi, do you still want to swallow this spiritual root alone? When Yuan Shi heard this, he was angry, and in his heart, this was originally his chance. He jerked his head back and glared at Dijun. I saw that Dijun, Donghuang Tai, and others were all approaching. Chaos Spirit Root, it's too important. Everyone didn't want to let go. The Yuan Shi Daoist held the Pangu flag and glared angrily. This is the whim of the poor road, I hope you will give face. As soon as he said this, he was exchanged for a sneer from others. Tai, Yuan Shi, you are indeed a saint disciple, and you can't bully people. What you say is yours, and you think you're the monkey. At the mention of monkeys, all the new hatreds and old hatreds of the beginning came up. He held the Pangu flag, I'm going to learn this monkey today, what's wrong? Sanking concentric. Lao Tzu sacrificed the Taiji diagram and the heaven and earth Xian Huang Linglong pagoda. Tongtian Dao people sacrificed the 4 swords of Zhu Xian. I 1/4 OE. Whoever wants to come over in Sanking University will have the momentum of desperate efforts. Dijun, Tai smiled sarcastically. You want to seize the opportunity, but my demon clan won't agree, set up a formation. The 10 demon gods under Dijun directly burst out of Qi. The prince of the east had to stand in front of Sanking. People on both sides are about to fight. At this time, The plum tree in Honghuang swallowed the last breath of immortal aura. A consciousness fell in the air. Who are you, and why did you break into here? His voice shocked everyone. This chaos spirit root has been transformed. Huang Zhongli turned into a boy carved in pink in front of everyone. The quasi-holy aura on his body lingered. Huang Zongtong's face was expressionless. This is the place where I am a teacher. Why did you people come in? Are you thieves? The immortals, who were pointed at by Huang Zhongli, had no reason to be empty-hearted. Is this the territory of the fairy family? The other immortals, look at the surrounding environment, and look at the spiritual root of heaven and earth. They exclaimed, don't be deceived by this spiritual root, this is not anyone's teacher, this spiritual root deceives people. The others also looked around, how could there be any traces of the immortals living here? Dijun sneered. I see. Huang Zhongli felt the gaze of the people around him, and he was furious. His own place is going to be seized by these guys? Since it's Borderlands, we're starting to grab it? Those immortals who knew that they couldn't snatch Huang Zhongli began to scatter in all directions. Get ready to scrape the island's treasures. Yuan Shi Tianzun looked at Huang Zhongli with gentle eyes. Fellow Taoist, if you are willing to enter my door, I can protect you and this immortal island. It's okay if he doesn't say it, but after he finishes speaking, the boy in Huangzhong is even more angry. As a chaos spirit root, after he transformed, he was the heel of the chaos demon god level, and he might not be able to look down on anyone else except Lu Gui. Seeing that someone wants to move the enlightened tea tree, the boy in Huangzhong burst out of chi, and the ancestral dragon ball shot and directly smashed the immortal. Ancestral dragon ball, Qinglong and the Dragon King of the East China Sea trembled when they saw the ancestral dragon ball. There was a greedy look in the eyes of the others. The boy in Huangzhong killed the immortal, and the urn sounded. If you give me a retreat, if you don't retreat, my master won't let you go. Master. Yuan Shi Daoran frowned. In his induction power, Huangzhong boy is his chance. What's going on? No matter, take it first. Yuan Shi Daoist looked at Huangzhong Tong like this, and a trace of fierceness flashed in his eyes. He struck out blatantly. And almost at the same time, Lu Gui ended his years of retreat, and his clone, the heavenly Taoist, was finally promoted to the middle stage of the quasi-saint. Although there was a ban on isolation, Lu Gui immediately realized that something was wrong. He lifted the ban, and the movement outside was naturally perceived by him. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 54. Yuan Shi Daoran, just do what he says, and shoot directly at Huang Zhongtong's. Huang Zongtong's face sank like water, and there was a glimmer of golden light on his body. 9 revolutions Xiangong. When the Yuan Shi Daoist saw the Tao of the Huangzhong boy, he was shocked and inexplicable. 9 turns of Xiangong is a great magic power law that Hung Jun passed on to Sanking afterwards. Imitate the witch clan and the chaos demon gods, and practice the flesh. This method is very powerful. The Yuan Shi Dao people themselves have never practiced, and now that Huangzhong boy uses it, he can't help but have some doubts. Where did the other party get the legal decision? However, this yellow boy is very troublesome. He is a heel of the chaos demon god level, running the 9 turns Xiangong, and his physical body is almost no less than a superb innate defense spirit treasure. The Pangu banner of the beginning, he resisted with his physical body. Rumble. On Yingzhou Island, the wind and clouds are rolling. The aftermath of the battle between the two forced many immortals back. Heaven-splitting divine palm. Wishful thinking. Huang Zhongtongzi used a familiar magic power from the beginning of the year to split the heavenly divine palm. However, he was horrified to find that the heaven-splitting divine palm that Huang Zhongtong had slashed out seemed to be even stronger than what Hung Jun had taught. For a time, the physical body was invincible, and the boy in Honghuang was like a god of war, and he actually forced Yuan Shi to retreat. Yuan Shi Daoran's face was blue and white for a while. He wanted to accept someone as an apprentice just now, but the boy in Honghuang was so fierce. He didn't have time to think about it. Why did Honghuang boy have Hung Jun's unique secret? Yuan Shi waved the Pangu flag, and in an instant, Yingzhou Island was confused. The Prince of the East and the others, seeing the power of the first god, their expressions changed slightly. Compared with tens of thousands of years ago in the East China Sea, the cultivation has more than doubled. Whether it is cultivation, or the Pangu banner he sacrificed, it has already improved his combat power. The Prince of the East immediately hid some careful thoughts in his heart. And Daijun, Nuhua, and Donghuang Tai also have an intuitive understanding of Yuan Shi's strength. In terms of strength alone, they are also confident that they will fight with Yuan Shi. However, Pangu flag, the magic weapon of killing the first place, will exceed everyone's imagination in the future. Yuan Shi Dao people, in the past, may not be brilliant. But after 3 sermons, he has indeed become one of the strongest powers in the wilderness. Second brother, are you sure? Dijun asked Tai with a solemn expression. 5-5, Tai also had a serious expression. Nuhua was a little appreciative of the Pangu flag in Yuan Shi's hand. Is also a beginner disciple of Hung Jun, and her treasures are far worse than Yuan Shi. When I thought of Hung Jun saying that she had a treasure on her, he didn't give her good things. This sentence made Nuhua can't help but think of a certain monkey. I must complete the 3rd marriage of heaven, earth, and man as soon as possible, and promote the red hydrangea. At the thought of the monkey, Nuhua was so angry that she gritted her silver teeth. She can't wait to be promoted to red hydrangea. Speaking of red hydrangea, although Nuhua was a little dissatisfied with the baby Hung Jun gave her, I have to say that Hung Jun also took care of her. The red hydrangea is the best innate spiritual treasure, but this treasure has a back door. If Nuhua can be a matchmaker and marry 3 times, she can promote the red hydrangea to a treasure of innate merit. This is also the reason why Nuhua is keen to be a matchmaker for Daijun. I've worked so hard, it's all the monkey's trouble. Nuhua thought that Lu Gui tricked her Hongmeng holy sword away, and she was so angry that she couldn't fight anywhere. However, she was most familiar with Lu Gui, and vaguely felt that this boy in Honghuang seemed to have a shadow that she was familiar with, but Nuhua didn't think about it. Continue to watch the battle. Honghuang Tongzi, facing the Yuan Shi Dao people, the heels of the chaos spirit root made him arrogant and natural. 9 turns of Xiangong, splitting the palm of the gods, wishful changes. With the 3 supernatural powers in his body, he has a lot of dealings with the Yuan Shi Dao people. However, with the Yuan Shi Dao person Pangu flag, a chi blade suddenly erupted, and the boy in Honghuang was shocked for a moment. Pangu banner, open the weather blade. Pangu has 4 major meanings. Open the weather blade. The mystery of the Lord's breaking. Perform this method, tear chaos, split time and space, and open up a boundless flood world. Creation of Xiangguang. The mystery of the Lord's establishment. Perform this method, divide yin and yang, rational 5 elements, and derive infinite earth, water, fire, and wind. Harmony barriers. The mystery of the Lord's forbidden. Perform this method, chaotic chaos, Menkinkan, and evolve an endless chaotic world. Heaven and earth die together. The mystery of the Lord's destruction. Perform this method, break the world, transcend the ancient and the modern, and destroy countless universal worlds. Yuan Shidao has been practicing for thousands of years, and finally opened the ban on Pangu flag. His combat power is very different from that of many years ago. Although Honghuang Tongzi has deep heels, he is not as good as Yuan Shi in terms of magic weapon or cultivation, and he was directly hit by Pangu banner. With a bang, he was seriously wounded. It's okay. Huang Zhongli injured the origin that even the three light divine water couldn't cure in the heavenly tribulation, but he can still have this kind of combat power. His loyalty, his strength, undoubtedly, is available. Lu Gui was underground, listening to all this, nodding secretly. He should have gone out a long time ago, but he wanted to see the reaction of the boy in Huangzhong. After all, this is his first apprentice, so why should he observe? Now that the apprentice is satisfied, it's time for Lu Gui to make a move. He is not used to letting his disciples eat deflated. Yuan Shidao repelled the boy in Huangzhong, but his face was pale. He didn't expect a little boy to force him to use the strength at the bottom of the box. If so, then his master? He had just thought of this, when suddenly, Yingzhou Island rumbled loudly. Okay, Yuan Shi. You dare to hit me? The people on Yingzhou Island heard a voice that they absolutely did not want to hear. The faces of the people changed greatly. A Euro trademark. Suddenly, from the land of Yingzhou, a sword aura emerged from the sky, and each lacquered surface had a chaotic aura lingering, and the aura of creation followed. Hongmen's sword chi burst out into the ground, indiscriminately, killing all the immortals. At that time, the immortal who was still preparing to secretly attack the idea of enlightening the Dao tea tree was swept by the sword chi, and he was directly killed, and was strangled into a blood mist. Become the nutrient of the enlightened tea tree. The other immortals were also killed and wounded heavily, and in an instant, rivers of blood flowed. Emperor Jun Tai and other demon clans, under the protection of the chaos bell of the Eastern Emperor Tai, saved most of them, but they also died a lot of elites who were far away. Those immortals who didn't defend against Lingbao immortals, especially those in Penglai Immortal Court, were miserable. Rivers of blood. Yingzhou Island, which was full of immortal aura just now, instantly turned into a sea of blood and hell, and the screams of the immortals were deafening on the island. And that's not the point. The point is that 90% of the sword chi is heading towards the Yuan Shi Dao people. Monkey. Six-eared. The voice of the six-eared macaque was too familiar to the 3,000 guests of Zixiao Palace. As soon as the Hongmeng sword chi came out, the Yuan Shi Daoist was in a hurry to take precautions, and he sacrificed a glass lamp and a golden lamp. In an instant, King Yuan fell, protecting the Yuan Shi Dao people to the death. Bang! But these are to no avail. Hongmen's sword chi directly cut through all defenses and hit Yuan Shi. The Yuan Shi Dao people tried their best to escape for their lives, but they were still seriously injured, bleeding from the 7 orifices, bursting their bodies, and almost dying. It's still Lao Tzu who shoots fast, and a heaven and earth Xian Huang Linglong pagoda protects him. The second half of the Hongmeng sword chi did not tear Yuan Shi to pieces. However, Lao Tzu also suffered a lot of injuries. Alone to carry Lu Gui's sword chi, he couldn't bear it. 6 ears are getting stronger. Lao Tzu and Tongtian Daoran glanced at each other, and the two of them saw the fear in each other's hearts. At this time, the emperor exploded. The 6-eared macaque returned and came out from underneath. What, not enough to be beaten? As soon as Lu Gui came out, he looked at Yuan Shi, who was already seriously injured, and Yuan Shi saw that it was really him, and he was angry. 6 ears. Lu Gui smiled sarcastically, you can't beat me, bully my disciples, saint disciples, bully evil and fear good, you are the beginning, villain. His squeeze made Yuan Shi vomit a mouthful of blood and faint directly in Lao Tzu's arms. Lu Gui turned around coldly, helped Wang Zhongtong up, and gave 2 mouthfuls of Sangguang divine water to recover his injuries. He looked back at the immortals. There were also corpses all over the ground. Luer, how many fellow Daoists have you killed? You are not afraid of God's punishment. The Prince of the East first began to reprimand the 6 ears. He Penglai Immortal Court, because of Lu Gui's sword, suffered heavy casualties. Immediately afterwards, it was the Dragon Clan, Luer, you kill my Dragon Clan. Emperor Jun Tai, as well as overseas immortals, accused Lu Gui one after another. Lu Gui smiled sarcastically, "You stupid critics, rushed into my dojo, injured my disciples, and still want to take my treasure. Kill you, what's wrong?" Everyone, by Lu Gui's words, turned their faces blue and white for a while. When Lu Gui appeared, they were shocked to find a problem. "This Yingzhou island, I am afraid that there is a master, and it is the 6 ears in front of them." The 6-eared macaque, an alien that the Dao ancestor didn't like, even with the disciples of the Suanmen, kept his distance from him. Among the immortals in this world, 9 out of 10 people in the Suanmen occupy 90/10th. In other words, the guy in front of him is the public enemy of Suanmen. They broke into the dojo of 6 ears, and 6 ears didn't kill them, so was it strange? Suddenly morally at a disadvantage. It embarrassed the immortals. As soon as they thought about it, they understood that although this chaos fragment had just been born, the yellow plum tree had already clearly said that this was the place of the master. It was also because they didn't check for a while that they didn't notice the sentence, and finally ended up like this. Among the 3 Qings, Lao Tzu and Tongtian, the face is as heavy as water. Lao Tzu's expression was gloomy. "Even if I am a senior brother and the 3 are wrong, Taoist friends shouldn't be so ruthless." Lu Gui smiled, "What, you feel distressed when you beat your junior brother, and you should beat my disciple." Lao Tzu was blocked by Lu Gui's words and couldn't speak. He thought for a moment, took Yuan Shi with him, and prepared to leave. "I let you go." Lu Gui stopped Lao Tzu, and Lao Tzu turned around, "What else do you want? Hurt me, leave Yuan Shi's life, or leave his baby just now." As soon as Lu Gui spoke, he was murderous, and the Honghuang sword in his hand exploded. The power of the innate treasure enveloped the entire Yingzhou island. Lao Tzu, Tongtian, his face changed greatly. "Or are we going to continue the battle we fought tens of thousands of years ago?" Lao Tzu and Tongtian were very angry, but they thought of Lu Gui's ability and the people around him. Lao Tzu took a deep breath. "Throw the 2 lamps left by the Yuan Shi Daoist to Lu Gui." Lu Gui held the lamp in his hand and rejoiced in his heart. "These 2 lights, 1 lamp is a glass lamp, one of the 4 lights in the world. He already has a coffin lamp, a Baolian lamp, and now he has a glass lamp. The 4 lamps have collected 3 lights, and I don't know if the 4 lights are gathered, will there be any surprises? The last lamp is in Lao Tzu's hands, and there is a chance to find a way to get it. As for the other lamp, it is called Qingyuan Golden Lantern. This golden lamp is accompanied by the celestial clouds, and its power is worse than that of the celestial clouds. The heavens and clouds are transformed by a mighty righteousness in Pangu's chest, which is not congenital and not for future generations. It's a treasure. Once the heavens and clouds are sacrificed, all evils are easy to dispel, and all laws are not touched. Ignore any treasure warrior's attacks and be immune to all avatar spells. Within Qingyuan, the world of Hongmeng looms in it, and the sun, moon, and stars shine in it. In the clouds, the 5-colored light renders the heavens, and the 8-tone fairy music resounds throughout the universe. Outside the Qingyuan, countless golden lanterns, golden lotus, yingluo, and hanging beads fall from the sky from the Qingyuan, such as the dripping water in front of the eaves. These heavens and clouds are Hongjun's talisman and have not been given to others. Qingyuan Golden Lamp, although it is not as good as the heavens Qingyuan, is just the best innate spiritual treasure. But it also has some of the power of the heavens and clouds. This magic weapon is the strongest talisman treasure in the hands of the current Yuan Shi. Lu Gui took the glass lamp, saw that the boy in Honghuang was pitiful, and threw the Qingyuan golden lamp to him. He is his own eldest disciple, so he can't let people say that he is stingy by himself. Honghuang boy, who was given the treasure by his master, looked surprised. Lu Gui distributed the magic weapon in public, and lost face. Lao Tzu was angry, and left directly with Yuan Shi, but he was a Tongtian Daoist, and he bowed down to Lu Gui. Back then, I didn't go to Zhoushan, thank you for the grace of the monkey for your guidance. But I'm three clear and angry, I'm afraid I'll offend a lot in the future. Hearing this, Lu Gui looked at the people of Tongtiandao and said, You are chic and uninhibited, your two senior brothers are not good things. The two of them, sooner or later they will pit you in the future. The host broke the news, the relationship between the three clears, the level of the revelation, C, the reaction level, scoffed. Overall rating, E. Reward you for being lonely. Reward the origin of the law of wood. Con. Lu Gui had never seen such a low-level revelation, and a new level of reaction. Obviously, the people of Tongtiandao didn't believe a word about Lu Gui's revelations. But he didn't care, he broke the news to the Tongtiandaoist, and he did it casually. The unbelief of the heavens now is the loss he will suffer in the future. After suffering a lot, he will naturally believe it, but there is, so he dares to blow him up. Don't you believe it? Let me say one more, your Sanking family will split up in the future, and your future Tao will be at odds with the beginning of the UN, and there will definitely be a big conflict. That's it, believe it or not. The host broke the news, the three clear families, the revelation level B, the reaction level, half believed. Overall evaluation C. The host is rewarded with 10,000 years of mana. The host gets a reward, and the Desolate Road Guide. One of the rules for the host to get bonus power. Sky-splitting palm mission, 6/10. Broke the news for the second time, Tongtian was suspicious, and Lu Gui also got some loneliness. He estimated that it was Tongtian and Yuanqi, and there was already some controversy, but it didn't matter. After listening to Lu Gui's words, the Tongtiandaoist didn't say a word, turned around and left. Lu Gui smiled and watched him leave. He turned his head and looked at the Eastern Prince, the overseas scattered immortals, the Dragon Clan, and the Emperor Jun group. These people don't say a word. Or they have already retreated. The Prince of the East and the Queen Mother of the West led the immortals to retreat quietly towards the edge of the island. Lu Gui said indifferently. You go, try. Honghuang's sword gourd, bursting out with monstrous killing intent. At this time, on the edge of the island, a Taoist evolved the 36 heavenly worlds behind him, stopping everyone. The atmosphere that had just eased was solemn for a moment. The color of the Eastern Maharaja is gloomy. 6 years, did we hit you in vain? You killed my Penglay immortal, I haven't gone to you to settle accounts yet. As soon as he finished speaking, the heavenly Dao people made a move, and the Eastern princes hurriedly sacrificed another treasure, wanting to stop it. However, Lu Gui's doppelganger has infinite potential, and he is almost a chaos demon god. The heavenly Dao people carried the 36 worlds, and with one blow, the Eastern princes exploded back. Enter my dojo, leave nothing behind, want to leave. Lu Gui also sacrificed the Honghuang sword gourd, and the killing intent was raging. The Eastern princes and the Western Queen Mother looked at each other. Queen Mother 11 smiled bitterly, fellow Daoist, we really don't have many good things on us. Lu Gui pointed to the Queen Mother of the West, then you stay, clean up for me, by the way, all the fairies stay and work. He looked at it, Yingzhou Island was full of blood, and these immortal blood and wreckage, although they brought fertilizer to the spiritual roots on Yingzhou Island. But after all, it's not sightly. When the Prince of the East heard this, his head exploded. Penglay Xianting, it is also Xianting, the Queen Mother of the West is the main mother of the Xianting, although he and the Queen Mother of the West are not husband and wife, but let the Queen Mother of the West stay and work, he Penglay immortal court, where will he put his face? Lu Gui was unhappy when he saw the Prince of the East, and sarcastically. How? Do you have an opinion? Before the Prince of the East could speak, Lu Gui shouted angrily, get out, bring something over to redeem people. The battle intent of the demon god of war broke out. The prince of the east looked pale and his face was pale. He knew that he would not be able to get benefits, so he could only leave in a hurry with the male immortals. The queen mother of the west and a group of fairies, you look at me, I look at you, very frightened. Lu Gui said, go to the side of the battle. The crowd honestly rolled aside. After dealing with Penglai immortal court, he turned his attention to overseas scattered immortals. The fairy's scalp was tingling. Lu Gui's combat power made all the immortals angry and did not dare to speak, and the immortals banirated one after another, leaving the benefits behind. When the scattered immortals were gone, there were only two major forces left for him to deal with. Dragons, demons. Lu Gui looked at the leaders of the two clans with interest. The dragon clan is the green dragon, after the dragon and Han catastrophe, except for the candle dragon, the dragon clan is a rare rising star. As for the demon clan's emperor Jun Tai, he is an old friend. And, of course, the Nuwa siblings. The demon clan is actually a very broad term. Many races, nominally belong to the demon clan, but if the strength is strong enough, you can also not listen to the command of the demon clan and become an independent clan. The dragon clan in front of you is an example. The dragon clan is the overlord of the last calamity. How can he surrender his identity and let himself fall into the demon clan? When Lu Gui looked at the dragon clan, there was still a trace of arrogance in the eyes of the green dragon. He stared at the ancestral dragon ball of the boy in Honghuang, and his eyes were about to fall. At this time, Tai sneered. Luer, what's the matter? After dealing with those people, you still want to deal with our brothers? Eastern Emperor Tai is also afraid of Lu Gui's combat power, but he is not afraid. When he was provoking, Nuwa suddenly remembered something. She had tears in her eyes. What did you do to it? What did you do to my great sword? Nuwa girl, finally reacted, that Hongmeng sword is the Hongmeng holy sword. Thinking of his companion magic weapon, turning into a gourd. She cried straight out. This monkey deceives people too much. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 55. Lu Gui's Hongmeng sword gourd has a strong aura of creation, and Nuwa is a person with a deep avenue of creation, and she didn't notice anything wrong at first. After Lin Fan used it a few more times, Nuwa immediately understood that the Hongmeng sword was the Hongmeng holy sword. The colorful sword that she has been with for many years was tossed like this by Lu Gui. The aura that Nuwa has just cultivated over the years has directly broken the gong. Tears rippled from crying. Lu Gui has a headache. This girl has a sick brain? Hongmeng holy sword, is it okay for you to lose to me? He didn't know that Hongmeng holy sword had followed Nuwa since he was a child, just like a relative. Anyway, the 6-eared macaque has no accompanying magic weapon and will never understand this feeling. Nuwa glared at Lu Gui fiercely. Monkey, you wait for me. There was a feeling of not bullying the young man to be poor, and he turned around and left. Lu Gui took a look. I'll go. This girl hasn't left the money to buy the road, but he doesn't want it anymore. Let Nuwa and Fuxi leave. He turned his gaze back to the demons and dragons. Lu Gui pointed at Qinglong and said, leave compensation, or, give me Yingzhou Island and be a divine beast guarding the mountain gate. You're looking for death. With the arrogance of the dragon clan, Lu Gui said a mountain protection beast, which angered the green dragon. He himself is also a quasi-saint, the strongest dragon king of the dragon clan at the moment. When the green dragon ascends, the law is like heaven and earth. Turning into a divine dragon hovering on Yingzhou Island, the thunder fell with the icy rain. Dragon's unique water system, supernatural powers. Kill without mercy. Lu Gui didn't even lift his eyelids. The heavenly Dao people made a brazen move, and as soon as this Dao person made a move, he came with the power of the 36 worlds. That kind of divine power is still above the general best innate spirit treasure, infinitely close to the supreme treasure. Qinglong wants to pretend to be forced. It's a pity to find the wrong place. The heels of the heavenly Dao people are stronger than the ordinary chaos demon gods. And he has all the supernatural powers of Lu Gui. I saw that the heavenly Daoist split the heavenly divine palm with one move, and in an instant, the sky seemed to crack. His heaven-splitting divine palm is more than twice as powerful as the boy in Honghuang. Bang! Above Penglai Immortal Island, blood and rain are flying. Qinglong's water system's supernatural power was directly approved by the heavenly Dao people, and he was seriously injured. His flesh and blood were splashed, and his white bones were visible. Another chaos demon god heal. Tai and Dijun, seeing the murderous heavenly Dao people, didn't guess that the other party was Lu Gui's doppelganger for a while. The strength of these heavenly Dao people has long been beyond the scope of ordinary clones. The green dragon screamed and fell heavily to the ground, falling to the ground. The dragons were silent for a moment. Apprentice, drag him in. If he doesn't guard the mountain beast, roast him, just so I invite the 12 ancestral witches to come and be a guest. The boy in Huangzhou wiped a handful of cold sweat, and the master was cruel. However, he still did his best and dragged Qinglong in. The rest of the dragon clan looked sad in their hearts. Once the overlord of heaven and earth, but now it has become someone else's food. Lu Gui said, "Don't you get out yet." These dragon sons and grandsons didn't dare to stay for a moment, and they all got out. Present, only Dijun and Tai remained, as well as the 10 demon gods of the demon clan. Dihun Tai's face sank like water. Even Dong Huang Tai didn't have the confidence on his face just now. Although there are very few people on this Yingzhou island, they are all extremely cruel. A heavenly Daoist seriously injured the dragon clan's Qinglong with one palm. Qinglong, a quasi-saint, although Tai was sure to take him down, he didn't dare to say that it would be so easy. As the best descendant of the dragon clan after the Dragon Han tribulation, Zilong left. Qinglong also has many ancestral dragon inheritances. Lu Gui, this bastard naturally needless to say, holding the innate treasure, Tai's greatest advantage, the chaos bell, is not worth mentioning in front of him. Although the monkey was rejected by the flood, his combat power was famous. Even if it is a boy in Huangzhou who was bullied by the Yuanshi Dao people, he is also a chaotic heel. If it weren't for the fact that Yuanshi was too strong, and he was replaced by another person, maybe who could take whom. Just these 3 people can already support a sect. Dijun and Tai did not dare to act rashly. Although the strength of the demon court is strong, at present, only he and Tai are quasi-saints. If they really fight, they may not be able to get benefits. Emperor Jun endured his anger. Luer, I came in heavenly court, and I didn't know that this was your dojo, so this matter has been revealed. Lu Gui couldn't help but be sarcastic. Dijun, you just want to leave me easily. What a majesty! Lu Gui, how dare you? Dong Huang Tai was furious when he heard this. My brothers respect your strength, but they are not afraid of you. Even if you are strong on Yingzhou Island, what about it? My demon clan is desperate, and I can also consume the 3 of you. Lu Gui sneered. Tai, is this a lack of cleanup? He didn't dare to say about the future Tai, but now he has not fully refined the Eastern Emperor Tai of the Chaos Bell. It's not worth mentioning at all. Seeing that Tai didn't know how to lift, the Hongmeng sword in Lu Gui's hand floated in the air, and he himself took out the god-killing spear, ready to shoot at any time. The laws of war, the laws of killing, are fused together, and the killing machine is cold. On the side of the demon clan, it was like falling into an ice cellar in an instant, freezing stiff. Dijun took a deep breath. Thinking about it, he thought that he couldn't fight it himself, so he decided to admit it. Okay, this time I'm not right in heaven, I'll accompany you with one thing. He flew out a few fruits with flames and landed in front of Lu Gui. This is the unique spiritual root on my sun's star, Fuzang fruit, are you satisfied? Lu Gui saw that this Fuzang tree was also one of the top 10 innate spiritual roots, and it was just right for Huang Zhongtong's injury to recover. He nodded with satisfaction, and explained the past. He waved, you can go. Lu Gui, you are a member of my demon clan, I sincerely hope that you will enter the demon court, work for me, and fight against the witch clan together. When Lu Gui heard this, he sneered, Emperor Jun, okay, then how about you preach to the Dao ancestor of Xixiao Palace and tell me. This sentence made Di Jun's expression change greatly. He didn't dare, he didn't dare. Even if Lu Gui has shown that he doesn't need Xixiao Palace to preach, he can practice independently. Di Jun still didn't dare. Daozuheng Jun is the way of heaven in the wilderness, and Suanmen is the orthodoxy of the wilderness. This is not a question of whether Di Jun can pass on Lu Gui, but a question of position. He is the emperor of heaven, if he is rejected by heaven. So how can the emperor sit down? Di Jun's expression fell in Lu Gui's eyes, in exchange for mocking laughter. The demon clan doesn't treat me as a demon clan, so why can't I get close to the witch clan who treats me as a human? Demon clan, the concept you made up, you still want to put it on my head. Everything in the world, the weak eat the strong, just like the dragon clan, when he is strong, he is the dragon clan, when he is weak, he is the demon clan. You Emperor Zhongqiang, have you ever moved the White Tiger clan? Have you ever moved the Qingkai vein? They're not demons. Lu Gui said that Di Jun's face turned blue and white. What's more, you think I don't know about the conversation with Tai? You're just trying to turn me into cannon fodder in the fight against the Wiccans. This sentence is like a thunderbolt exploding. Di Jun blurted out, how do you know? He was shocked to find that the fairies who had stayed on the island were looking at him and the others with strange eyes. Di Jun snorted coldly, he had no face to stay, and turned to leave. The host broke the news about the true face of Emperor Jun Tai, the revelation level D, the reaction level, convinced. Overall rating, D. 1 of the origins of rewarding power. Reward the origin of the formation path. Sky-splitting palm quest, 7/10. Broke the news that Di Jun and Tai were also rewarded. Although it is small, Lu Gui is also very satisfied. Not to mention the law of force, the origin of the formation path is very important to Lu Gui. The formation is one of the most important components of the flood. He now has a dojo, and this array origin just makes up for his shortcomings. Lu Gui didn't even want to think about it, and directly swallowed everything except for the origin of wood. His comprehension of the law of force has reached a new level. At the same time, the law of enlightenment in Lu Gui's body was first formed, and many comprehensions about the formation appeared in Lu Gui's mind. He thought for a moment and took out 4 flags. Innate 5 square flags. The best innate spirit treasure. The Queen Mother of the East and other fairies couldn't help but exclaim when they saw Lu Gui's flag. The best innate spirit treasure is very rare in the flood wilderness. Even if Heng Jun divides the treasure, most of the benefits are also taken away by the official disciples. The rest of them, the great power of the desolation, Kunpeng, Di Jun, and Tai, were divided into most of them. Although the East Princes and the West Queen Mother are the heads of male fairies and fairies, they are a little worse off their feet. There wasn't much to grab. This monkey took out 4 top-grade innate spirit treasures at once, and they were the top-grade innate spirit treasures, which could not be envied by the fairies. Let's just deduce a mountain protection array first. The law of enlightenment was first formed, and Lu Gui didn't need any comprehension at all, and directly began to deduce the formation. Although he has little time, he is better than the magic weapon of suppressing the big array, and soon, Lu Gui took the heavenly Dao people as the core and pushed out a quartet Kanghai Great Array. This formation is centered on the 36 worlds of the Dingai Divine Beads, with the 4 of the 5 flags as the portal. 4 poles and 5 square flags, falling in the air. At the same time, Lu Gui threw the law of wood to the heavenly Dao people, and the heavenly Dao people incarnated in the 36 worlds, one of the worlds, obtained the origin of wood, and added the chaotic vitality that Lu Gui followed, and instantly turned into a small world of wood. After the law is completed, this small world replaces the Qinglian treasure color flag and becomes Muyan 1. In an instant, the heavenly Dao people operated the great array of the seas in all directions, and the surrounding sea water rolled wildly and turned into an endless storm. Defend Yingzhou Island. Return to the sea. Lu Gui casually hit a state, in the outside world, Yingzhou Immortal Island, disappeared above the East China Sea. Ethereal. If someone tries to find Yingzhou Island, they will find that they can't find it at all. Even if you accidentally break through the great array of the quartet, you will enter a stormy sea area, and only after passing through the sea area can you come to Yingzhou Island. In this sea, if no one is allowed to pass. Along the way, the intruders had to face the Dingai Pearl and the heavenly worlds, attracting the forces of the 36 worlds of the 4 seas to attack each other. Waiting for idle people, even if it is the peak of quasi-sainthood, may not be able to pass. Lu Gui was quite satisfied with the arrangement of the Kanghai Great Array. For the time being, we can do this, let's do it first. Barely enough. Hearing his words, the Queen Mother of the West and the fairies of Penglai Immortal Court twitched the corners of their mouths. Is this called barely enough? Their Immortal Court's great array of towns, Yin and Yang Kunlun Great Array, and the support of Kunlun's injuries are not exaggerated in all directions. This formation, wherever it is placed in the flood wilderness, is a top-notch formation. This monkey doesn't look satisfied. Lu Gui arranged the formation, and then he turned around and found that the Queen Mother of the West and the fairies were all here. What are you doing in a daze? Hurry up and clean up. The Queen Mother of the West and those fairies had sad expressions. Especially the Queen Mother of the West, the lady of the fairy court. Don't be a monkey as a slave. Her eyes turned red for a moment. However, the Queen Mother of the West gritted her teeth and began to use spells to clean up the severed limbs and shattered bodies of those immortals on Yingzhou Island. Place these bodies on top of Yingzhou's spirit plant. Those spiritual plants come to life. The once invincible immortals are now fertilizer. The Queen Mother of the West and other fairies, while holding back the nausea, held back tears. Lu Gui was lazy to pay attention to the feelings of these fairies. He walked up to the boy and handed the fruit to the boy. Thank you, master. The boy in Honghuang took the hibiscus fruit and ate it. His eyes lit up. Master, this fruit can heal the origin of my heavenly tribulation injury. Lu Gui thought about it. Sure enough, the injury of the origin of the Honghuang boy could only be treated by other heaven and earth spirit roots. The ginseng fruit last time, the hibiscus wood this time. 10 spiritual roots. Lu Gui recalled, what else can help Honghuang boy in this 10 spiritual roots of the flood wilderness? Chaos Qinglian has already decomposed, don't mention it. Like the bitter bamboo that has been transformed, leading, the Bodhi tree, Zunti, and the hollow willow, Yang Mei Taoist. The congenital gourd vine that was taken away by Lu Gui. Counting the excluded ginseng fruit, hibiscus wood, eaten, and the plum tree itself. In fact, among the 10 spiritual roots, there are not many choices. Pan Tao, in the hands of Hung Jun's little maid Yaokai. This needs to be after Dai Jun and Tai are hanged. Hung Jun will let her and Hao Shen go to heaven to be the Jade Emperor's mother. This can be ruled out. Does Lu Gui think that he can still get benefits from Hung Jun's subordinates now? Hung Jun couldn't afford to provoke him for the time being, so he put the peach aside first. Among the 10 spiritual roots, only 2 were chosen, the 5-needle pine, and the laurel tree on the Taiyan star. The 5-needle pine is nowhere to be seen in the flood wilderness, and it seems to be in the 3 Immortals Island. But I'm not sure right now. Lu Gui himself doesn't know the location of the five-needle pine at the moment. So the five-needle pine in his mind, the same exclusion. If you want to know about the injury of the boy in Honghuang, there is a high probability that it will fall on the Taiyan star. Zai, Chang 11, this is also a famous beauty in the desolate world. It's a pity that I married the wrong person. Exchanging Honghuang plum for laurel Taiyan fruit shouldn't be a big problem. As for the fuzang fruit, it's just stealing. Lu Gui was thinking about his future plans, and at this time, Huang Zhongli reminded him. Master, this is already your dojo. If you don't build a cave, you can't say it. Lu Gui thinks about it, it makes sense, the dojo belongs to the dojo, and the cave house belongs to the cave house. As the owner of Yingzhou Island, he can't live without his own place. Lu Gui flew into the air and chose an address. He raised his hand, and the heavens and earth roared. A mountain that he pulled out of thin air. This high mountain is majestic, and it is the core area of Yingzhou Island. Lu Gui has a fast cutting of the spiritual materials on the island. A palace looming on the top of a mountain. That's not all, Lu Gui sacrificed the Hongmeng sword gourd, countless chaotic vitality, and washed the mountain. In the end, Hongmeng sword who shot out the light of creation, and this immortal mountain directly turned into an acquired spiritual treasure. Shine with this precious light. The movements of the six-eared macaque shocked the Queen Mother of the West and other fairies who were cleaning the battlefield. This monkey can actually directly refine the spirit treasure? You must know that the spiritual treasure of the flood can only be refined by saints. Moreover, the saint can only refine the acquired spirit treasure, and the innate is not good at all. Under the saints, unless the spiritual materials they refine are themselves half-finished spiritual treasures, they are only guided by the situation and successfully refined. Otherwise, even if it is a sub-saint, the refined treasure is a magic weapon. The magic weapon is in the flood wilderness, and it is not worth mentioning at all. And Lu Gui, in front of them, personally refined ordinary materials to refine a mountain-type spirit treasure. Even if it was an acquired spirit treasure, it almost scared the stupid fairies. The power of the saints. The Queen Mother of the West said this sentence tremblingly. At the same time, she looked at Hongmeng Jianhu and vaguely understood that this was probably the innate treasure in the hands of the monkey, but the treasure of creation. Lu Gui refined his cave mansion and engraved the 3 words Chaos Palace on the plaque of the palace. In an instant, the coercion of the Chaos Palace enveloped the entire Yingzhou Island. He took the boy in the middle of the yellow and went in. The newly created Chaos Palace was empty, and Lu Gui evolved and transformed it into something simple. He sat in the central seat, and officially entered the yellow boy. Today, you are officially under my door. Meet the master. Huang Zhongboy, 3 kneels and 9 knocks, the ceremony is completed. By the way, I still have a mount that I forgot to deal with. Lu Gui remembered the Mosquito Dao man who was subdued by himself and released her. The delicate body of the Mosquito Dao man rolled on the ground, his eyes showed a fierce light, and when he saw Lu Gui's majestic mana, he was suddenly more obedient than a lazy cat. Mosquito Dao man, you lack education, this seat sees that you have a good foot, spare your life. You practice here well, if you perform well, I can still get started. When the Mosquito Taoist heard this, her eyes rolled wildly, and Lu Gui was not used to her, and slapped her on the head. She was beaten to tears and cried. The slave family knows, the Mosquito man looked aggrieved. Huang Zhong, you are responsible for taking care of her, she is disobedient, you fight hard. Huang Zhongboy glanced at the Mosquito Taoist and saluted in a low voice. Master, obey. Let Huang Zhongli be optimistic about the Mosquito Taoist. Lu Gui finally put his mind at ease. Now Yingzhou Island is his dojo. With a large array guarding and disciples in charge, nothing should happen. He should also rest assured to find the 3rd immortal island, the Abbot Immortal Island. Abbot Immortal Island, It should also be near Sangxian Island. It's not like it's a clue, it's not right. I should have some clue. The function of the Honghuang Road Guide is to find an opportunity nearby. If you want to enter Abbot Immortal Island, it is best to crush the Honghuang Road Guide near the entrance. Lu Gui's success in finding Penglai and Yingzhou does not necessarily mean that he can find Abbot Xiandao. The randomness of the Honghuang Road is also possible to lead him to the Dragon Palace of the East China Sea. The Prince of the East, the Queen Mother of the West, has the general direction of the three immortal islands. Here on the fairy island, Lu Gui flew out of the Chaos Palace and landed on the battlefield. The fairies were taken aback. Tell me the approximate location of Abbot Island. This seat allows you, after 10 years of hard work, you can get a trace of enlightenment tea. Lu Gui threw out his conditions, and the Queen Mother of the West and other fairies, his eyes lit up. Wudaot, if there is such a reward, their hard work is also worth it. The Queen Mother of the West nodded heavily, for fear that Lu Gui would regret it. The two looked at each other, and the Queen Mother of the West blushed. At this time, outside the isolated Yingzhou Island, the immortals of different forces are all discussing, and the content of the discussion is the same. That is, about Lu Gui. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 56. Kunlun Mountain. After the Yuan Shi Dao people regained consciousness, they had a big quarrel with Lao Tzu. There is no other reason, blame Sanking for not helping him. In the end, King Yuan Golden Lantern and Glass Lamp were also compensated to Lu Gui. Tongtian Daoist couldn't help but say a few words, and the two quarreled and broke up unhappily. Lu'er, I'll do my best to refine Panga Banner, I will definitely want you to look good. The Yuan Shi Dao people entered the retreat state for the first time, and the Tongtian Dao people looked at the Yuan Shi and thought of Lu Gui's words, and fell into deep thought. The same is true of Heavenly Court, Eastern Emperor Tai. Lu Gui's strength and disdain not only stimulated Daijun, but also Tai. Tai retreated and tried his best to refine the Chaos Bell, just for the sake of shame. Daijun has already turned his attention to the heavenly marriage, and Nuwa said that if he can complete the heavenly marriage, there will be a lot of merit for him. This will allow him to cultivate and rise rapidly. 6-eared, wait for, Daijun muttered to himself. And in the East China Sea, two major forces. Penglai Immortal Court and East China Sea Dragon Palace, Gloomy Clouds and Mysurti. Penglai Immortal Court, the Prince of the East smashed everything he could smash, and he trembled with anger. The Queen Mother of the West, the Lady of Heaven, was left as a slave by the monkey. Is it tolerable or unbearable? The Prince of the East jumped to his feet in a hurry, but there was no way. When the immortals didn't know who whispered, "This monkey won't do anything to the fairy court." The anger of the Prince of the East rose even higher. "Go and prepare things now, and we'll redeem the fairies." After he finished speaking, he suddenly paused, remembered everything in front of him, and felt that he could wait a little longer. Dragon Palace of the East China Sea. The dragon kings of the 4 seas of the dragon clan gathered. Lord Qinglong is regarded as a gatekeeper beast, which is a great shame for my dragon clan. Brother, shall we go to Lord Candle Dragon? Candle Dragon is not the Candle Juyan of the Wu clan, but the younger brother of the ancestral dragon, the second person of the dragon clan. Long Hanliang tribulation, since the fall of the ancestral dragon. Hung Jun ordered the 3 clans to withdraw from the stage of the flood wilderness, the Phoenix to guard the immortal volcano, and the Kailan clan to guard the Kailan cliff. The Dragon clan was ordered to suppress the infinite Ci. The high level of the Dragon clan is equivalent to being imprisoned somewhere. Only the Dragon King of the 4 seas, as well as the rising generation of Qinglong, maintain the last trace of dignity for the Dragon clan. The dragon family is a relatively lucky family. At least compared to the Phoenix Kylan, the space of the infinite sea is large enough. So there's still room for dragons to move. Going to invite the candle dragon? The dragon king of the East China Sea fell into contemplation, and the candle dragon suppressed the immeasurable sea eye, and he couldn't come out of the idle space. However, if it is only above the East China Sea, it is not considered to be against the order of the Dao ancestor. He thought about it for a moment and gritted his teeth. Let's see. I've waited for an opportunity to beg the monkeys of Yingzhou Island, or maybe other forces will trouble each other. When the time comes, there will be no need to alarm the ancestors. Hearing the Dragon King of the East China Sea say this, a certain existence in the Dragon clan sighed. The ancestor said that the spirit of the Dragon clan has been lost, and it is true. Lu Gui was at this time, but he didn't know what was happening outside the island. After he got the approximate range of Abbot Xiandao from the Queen Mother of the West, he did not go over as soon as possible, but chose to retreat. After sorting out your thoughts, Lu Gui went out of the customs and saw that the Queen Mother of the West and others were still working hard. The battlefield has been cleaned up, but there are still many destroyed spirit grasses and mountain and river veins on Yingzhou Island, which need to be slowly restored. Senior sister, life here is quite comfortable. There are also enlightenment teas, those spiritual fruits can still increase cultivation after eating. A fairy said to the Queen Mother of the West beside her. The Queen Mother of the West looked coldly. You were bribed by a little benefit. Don't forget, that monkey is a person that Daozu doesn't like. Daozu has great kindness to me, although we are temporarily trapped here by monkeys, we shouldn't forget our position. The fairy was aggrieved by the Queen Mother of the West. Senior sister, Dao ancestor is great, we know. But there are only 3,000 guests in Xixiao Palace, and you people have obtained the true inheritance of Dao ancestors, and they will spread out. What about us? Back then, those of us who sought the Dao, we also wanted to fly up to the Xixiao Palace to listen to the immortal voice of the Dao ancestor. But in the chaotic storm outside the sky, how many people have died? Although Dao ancestor is great, his Dao has a threshold. I see that in Yingzhou Island for 1,000 years, although we are prisoners, the boy in Honghuang is generous and willing to preach for us. Compared to the immortal court, this is more like our master. The words of the fairy made the Queen Mother of the West so angry that her chest rose and fell, and she wanted to kill this traitor, but her hand was in the air, confused. As the fairy said, the way of Hongjun is to preach the world through the 3,000 guests of Hongchen. But it is true that there are many lowly beings who cannot be heard. She also had to admit that for more than 1,000 years, although Lu Gui said that he had trapped them for labor and punishment, it was really good to them. 3 years of enlightenment tea, this kind of baby who is crazy outside, the other party is not stingy. Not to mention the low-level fairies, even the Queen Mother of the West herself does not have this level of treatment. It's no wonder that the fairies feel that being a captive here is better than being a fairy in the fairy court. Moreover, it's been 1,000 years, sister, the Prince of the East didn't come. The fairy said something heartbreaking, which made the Queen Mother of the West's face change greatly. Indeed, the Prince of the East did not come. Although in the eyes of the immortals, 1,000 years is just a fleeting time, but it is enough for the other party to find the treasure to redeem people, but the Prince of the East does not. A hint of gloom flashed in the eyes of the Queen Mother of the West. Lu Gui listened to these news and smiled. He didn't have any thoughts about the fairies, but he didn't expect that Huangzhong Tongzi would have such a good relationship with them over the years. He called the boy in the yellow middle. The mosquito, have you taken it? Huangzhong Tong shook his head. Last time she wanted to suck a fairy, she was beaten by me. I locked her up. Be careful, this mosquito is a blood-winged black mosquito, and its talent is very powerful. No matter how much it is a magic weapon, it can suck everything. But you are the chaos spirit root, you were born to suppress her, and I will hand her over to you as a teacher, rest assured. When the boy heard this, he saluted respectfully. Master, are you going to travel far? Lu Gui smiled, I'll go to find the legendary Abbot Immortal Island and see what chance there is. Here's the matter, I'll take you to Taiyan Star in exchange for laurel fruit. Thank you, Master. You take good care of your home, there are people in the heavenly Dao, and people who are idle can't come in. After Lu Gui finished speaking, he left Yingzhou Island directly and flew towards the sea area that might be Abbot Immortal Island. When he arrived at a place, he found a flood road guide and crushed it. He saw that the space in front of him was dim, and when he regained his vision, he came to a gray space again. Lu Gui is not surprised. This is the site of the standard Chaos Shard world. This Abbot Xiandao has not been invaded by the outside world. Lu Gui was already accustomed to this chaotic aura, and even liked it a little. The Chaos Demon Ape, the Pangu Divine Ape, the Ruyi Demon Ape, and the bloodlines of the three major demon gods were all absorbing endless chaotic chi to their heart's content. This time, this fairy island found must not be open to the outside world. This chaotic environment, whether it is used to cultivate magic weapons or practice, is a good place. It can be used as a secret realm of the dojo. After Lu Gui adapted to the breath of the Abbot Xiandao, he muttered to himself. I wonder what's going to happen here. He began to wander around the island, and the first thing he saw was a pine tree towering in the middle of Abbot's Immortal Island. This tree is vigorous and upright, the whole body is emerald green, the body of the tree swallows the chaotic vitality, turns into colorful divine light, and the five elements of the Taoyun circulate around it, vaguely forming an enchantment, destroying everything around it. On the tree, there are 9 pine cones, each of which is surrounded by white, green, black, red, and yellow 5 chi, which are the innate 5 elements law. The law has congenital, acquired, innate 5 elements, all one, although it is manifested as gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, but it is one of the supreme laws of the flood and wilderness. When Lu Gui saw it, he was overjoyed. 5-needle pine, is it really here? The 5-needle pine is one of the 10 innate spiritual roots of the flood wilderness, and it is also a very strong spiritual root. Lu Gui didn't expect that the 5-needle pine was really on Abbot Immortal Island. With these 9 fruits, Huang Zhong's injuries should be able to recover most of them. This is still the chaos spirit root. Lu Gui was pleasantly surprised to find that the 5-needle pine was the same as Huang Zhongli, and it was still a chaotic spirit root. It is estimated that it is because the Abbot Xiandao, where it is located, has not yet been born and has become a part of the flood wilderness. Nourished by the chaotic chi, the 5-needle pine will not fall into grade. Of course, if the future Abbot Xiandao is born, it may not be. However, since Lu Gui decided not to let the Abbot Xiandao be born, he would naturally do his best to maintain it. These 5 needles of pine, if they can be used to behead the corpse, must be a very powerful doppelganger. But Lu Gui didn't plan to do this. He already knew the direction of his corpse, and he had a better choice. In the future, I will transplant spiritual roots such as the enlightenment tea tree here. With the 5-needle pine sitting in chaos, this can become a very powerful secret realm. This 5-needle pine does not have the opportunity to transform like Huang Zhongli. Lu Gui plucked the 9 pine nuts and took the next one with his mouth. In an instant, the power of the 5 elements exploded, and he actually comprehended a trace of the innate 5 elements law from it. These 5 elements law was quickly returned by Lu and deduced to the beginning of the law. Lu Gui took stock, and now he has comprehended a lot of laws. Among them, the strongest is the law of force and the law of war, which are all Dachan. The law of change, close to Dachan. The other darkness, the law of the 5 elements, is probably the beginning of the beginning. To Lu Gui's surprise, among the 5 needles of pine cones, he vaguely comprehended a magical power. Mixed UN 5 elements great array. This supernatural power is just right for Lu Gui, he simply didn't look for anything, just sat under the five-needle pine and comprehended the Dao. 100 years have passed, and the Lugui mixed UN5 elements great array has begun to form. He laughed, I'm worried about how to lock the abbot Xiandao, this tree has found a way for me, not bad. Lugui looked at the five-needle pine and was very satisfied. His eyes wandered, and he continued to look for opportunities in Abbot Immortal Island. On a hill not far from the five-needle pine, it is surrounded by merit and luck. Lugui had noticed this mountain for a long time, but because of enlightenment, he did not pass it for the time being. As soon as he landed on the mountain, he saw a ruler stuck in the mountain wall. The aura of merit of this ruler came to his face, which surprised Lugui greatly. Hongmeng measuring the ruler. Lugui blurted out, Hongmeng measured the ruler, this time he came to Abbot Xiandao and made a lot of money. Hongmeng's measurement of the sky ruler is the transformation of the merits of opening the sky after Pangu opened the sky and in the process of the evolution of the flood famine. Because it was formed after the opening of the sky, it is an acquired treasure. But don't think that this treasure is weaker than the innate spirit treasure. Hongmeng measuring heaven ruler is the treasure of acquired merit, and its power is infinite, almost no less than the three treasures of Kaishan. It enlouds us companion treasure, the heaven and earth Xianhuang Linglong Pagoda, one attack and one defense, and called the two acquired merits of the treasure. In terms of attacking power, Hongmeng measuring heaven ruler can be comparable to Pangu banner. And because it is a treasure of merit, it can suppress luck. It is a rare perfect treasure in the wilderness. The world's merits are the most treasures, except for the Hongmeng holy sword, there is no treasure that can reach it. Lugui took this treasure in his hand, and the chi of merit washed away Lugui's body, and he could actually help him refine his body. Good thing, it's worth it. After getting the Hongmeng measuring scale, he explored the surroundings again. On Abbot Immortal Island, there are still many spiritual veins, and among these spiritual veins, there are many chaotic golden essences. These are all chaos spiritual materials. If it is handled well, it can create an innate spirit treasure. Innate spirit treasures, materials are almost all things that already existed before chaos. If you don't fall into the realm after opening the sky, it will evolve into a magic weapon. It's a long process, but the practitioner can guide it and accelerate the evolution. It's not a chaotic spirit material, or a saint can only create an acquired spirit treasure. Lugui obtained these chaotic spirit materials, which was equivalent to booking a lot of innate spirit treasures. After walking around the Abbot Xiandao, he collected the benefits he received. Then Lugui set out to arrange the Chaos 5 Elements array to protect the Abbot Immortal Island, lest it be opened and melted into the desolation because of the ripe opportunity. After doing everything, Lugui set out to leave Abbot Immortal Island. He carefully tore a hole in it and quickly walked out of the Abbot's Immortal Island. To Lugui's surprise, the place where he appeared was not the East China Sea, but in the void. Countless winds, chaotic air currents, washed over his body. What, Abbot Immortal Island, in fact, is outside the sky? Or, the three immortal islands were originally outside the sky. Just an entrance to the East China Sea. Lugui thought about it for a while, but he didn't figure it out, but since he had come to the outside world, he looked at the bright moon and didn't mind going to Taiyan Star. There is a goddess in Taiyan. Name, Zai, Chang 11. The two are the famous beauties of the Hong wilderness and the wives of the future emperor. Taiyan, the sun, is transformed by Pangu's eyes, and the creatures born in the Taiyan sun, Chang 11, 11 and heels are also very deep. However, they were late in their transformation and did not catch up with Hung Jun's preaching. Later, she married Dijun and became the master of the heavenly court. After all, they fell with the heavenly court. Lugui landed on the Taiyan star, only to see the cold Taiyan star, and a laurel tree towering on its Taiyan star. The laurel tree emitted moonlight as white as the Taiyan star, and it became colder and colder. Lu Gui screamed a few times and landed next to the laurel tree, but did not find the Taoian fruit. He frowned, and suddenly, the second daughter exclaimed behind him. "Thief, what are you doing?" Round after round of bright moonlight, it fell on Lu Gui. Lu Gui smiled. The figure turned into a stone and was shattered by Yuehua. But the man was nowhere to be seen. "Sister, where did the monkey go?" "Damn, ran away." A delicate beauty, gritting her teeth. "Thief." Lu Gui was on the side, and he smiled. "Forget it, sister, the two of us should pay attention to the fact that those hateful immortals always beat us with the idea of laurel trees. If it weren't for the two of us sisters, who were born with De Ludo Jinxian, this would be." A gentlewoman, reassuring her sister, "Let's think again, this question. The two of them are naturally 11 He and Chang 11 sisters." Lu Gui couldn't help but smile as he looked at the Taoism they discussed. These two daughters seemed to be also house girls, and now many Taoisms are not a secret in the wilderness. But 11 and Chang 11 were trapped in one place and couldn't break through. The second daughter is born with a De Ludo Jin immortal, but she can't progress, and sooner or later she will be surpassed by those who covet the laurel tree. Now there is a desolation, but there are people everywhere looking for spiritual roots to behead corpses. It's no wonder that the second daughter will marry Dijun later. Married to Dijun, who can embarrass them? The cathode gives birth to Yang, and the anode gives birth to Yin. The two Taoist friends are born of Taoyin, and they are combined with their Yin and Yang, seeking the acquired Yin and Yang. It's better to push the Taoyin to the extreme. The cathode gives birth to Yang, and seeks the innate Yin and Yang. Lu Gui's voice appeared in 11 and Chang 11's ears. Goddess Zai and Goddess Chang 11 turned back in horror and found that the monkey hadn't left. However, Chang 11 and Zai were attracted by Lu Gui's words. "Don't seek Yin and Yang, seek innate Yin and Yang." Chang 11's cute expression was quite cute. "What's the difference?" Innate Yin and Yang, innate 5 elements, are natural innate laws. The day after tomorrow is Yin and Yang, and the day after tomorrow is the 5 elements, but it is the Yin and Sun in the 3000 avenues, and the gold, wood, water, fire, and earth are patchworked. Although the latter is the 5 elements of Yin and Yang, it is far worse than the innate avenue. If someone says in the future that the two of you will let you combine Yin and Yang, don't believe it. Giving birth to Yin and Yang is the way of innate nature. Lu Gui did not reserve and gave the second daughter a speech. The two girls didn't believe it at first, but the more Lu Gui spoke, the deeper they spoke, and they couldn't help but listen quietly. The two sides forgot for a moment that they were hostile to each other. Lu Gui said that it is 100 years. 100 years later, Chang 11, Zai, and the second daughter of the Taoyin turned around and ascended. Finally, at the limit, a trace of pure Yang is born. "Sister, I have broken through to the peak of the great Ludo Golden Immortal." Chang 11's sisters were very excited. They had practiced for so many years, and they were not as good as monkeys preaching for 100 years. After breaking through the realm, Chang 11 looked at the monkey's gaze and softened a little. 11 He was also excited. She broke through the peak of the great Ludo Golden Immortal 10 years earlier than Chang 11. The second daughter has a good impression of Lu Gui. "Thank you seniors for speaking for us." Chang 11, Zai, "You are much better than the woman named Nuwa. She told us what Yin and Yang blended. Let us marry the Lord of the Sun and Star. It is said that it is the fusion of Yin and Yang, which is helpful for our cultivation." Nuwa has already come up to be a matchmaker for Daijun, and the two goddesses didn't agree. Lu Gui was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then smiled. "I'm sorry for this. Lu Gui and Dijun don't deal with each other. If they can destroy Dijun's good deeds, he is very happy," he said. "Just don't marry that bird man, otherwise in the future, I'm afraid it will end miserably." The two goddesses looked at each other, wondering why Lu Gui would say that. Lu Gui's expression was just right when he saw the second daughter. I have a little bit of heavenly machine calculation, do you want to listen to more than two of you? Chang 11 and Zai nodded immediately. Lu Gui was overjoyed, go away, this monkey is going to pretend to be forced, no, it broke the news. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 57. However, when Lu Gui was about to speak, he suddenly heard a faint voice in the distance. He smiled. Choose to shut up. Na11 and Chang 11 were anxious. Senior, didn't you say that we were going to calculate the heavenly machine for us? Lu Gui smiled. The two of you, if you agree to that Nuwa's request and become the wife of Emperor Jun, you will indeed be able to reign in the world and have a noble status. But the blessing is bad, Dijun's character is not good, his heavenly court is destined to be destroyed, although you will be extremely rich and noble if you marry him, but it will also be because he is involved in the catastrophe, and his face is weak. Besides, he's not a good man. Chang 11 and Zai listened and looked at each other. In Lu Gui's mind, there was already a prompt from the system. The host broke the news about Chang Zixi and fate, the level of breaking the news, A, the reaction level, half believed. Overall rating, B. The host gets a reward supernatural power, Mustard Sumeru. The host obtains the origin of the reward battle, the origin of the innate 5 elements. The host gets a bonus mana for 50,000 years. The moment Lu Gui broke the news, the reward came as expected, as he expected. Chang 11 and Zai, half convinced. This is also a matter of no choice, if Lu Gui wants to win the trust of the second daughter, he is bound to tell the matter of the flood and the catastrophe, this is not the time. However, the supernatural mustard seed Sumeru is also good, which is equivalent to having a natural space treasure and hiding all the treasures. If you can evolve to the extreme, you may be able to give birth to a world out of thin air. This supernatural power is the supernatural power of the Taoist, and in the future, he will also deduce his own supreme supernatural power to hold the Buddha kingdom on top of this supernatural power. As for the origin of the reward, the innate origin of the 5 elements. Of course it's just right. Lu Gui has just comprehended the innate 5 elements law, if he can swallow the origin of the innate 5 elements. He said he would do it. 11 and Chang 11 looked at Lu Gui, and suddenly the battle intent was monstrous, and the 5 elements divine light was faintly visible. The 5 elements of the Dao Yun flowed, making Chang 11 and the two daughters have beautiful eyes rippling, staring at Lu Gui. The predecessor is really the power to comprehend the innate 5 elements. Compared with those who pay attention to the harmony of yin and yang, the Taoism of the predecessors is obviously more intelligent. The two sisters, seeing the changes in Lu Gui, secretly despised Nuwa by the way. Nuwa, who was on her way to Taoyin Star, couldn't help but sneeze. She was inexplicable. What's going on? Forget it, I don't want to, I must succeed this time. Nuwa, whether the red hydrangea can be promoted depends on your hard work. Nuwa secretly encouraged herself in her heart. The last time she went to Taoyin Star to propose marriage to Daijun, the two goddesses were non-committal and refused. The two of them have lived on the moon and stars since they were born, and naturally they have no idea of getting married. Nuwa returned home without being discouraged. She believed that after getting close to the two daughters, they would agree. She didn't know that her actions had fallen under Lu Gui's surveillance. Nuwa's secretly cheering gesture made Lu Gui laugh. At this point, he recovers from the realm of epiphany. Seeing Chang 11 and 11 he looking at him, Lu Gui smiled. In a while, the Nuwa you mentioned will come to you to talk to the matchmaker. Is her again? 11 and the sisters frowned, is this Nuwa finished? If it was said that before they met Lu Gui, the sisters might still have a good impression of Nuwa, after all, she said that the way of harmony between yin and yang is also good for 11 and Changzi. But now Lu Gui has evolved the innate way of yin and yang, After the two sisters comprehended it, has basically given up the idea of getting married. At Nuwa's arrival, the sisters became a little annoying. Lu Gui looked at the sisters who had a different experience than before, and vaguely had other thoughts in his heart. It seems that what I saw in my previous life was only the result, but I didn't know the process. He smiled, and at this time the system arrived. Lu Gui broke the news that Nuwa arrived, and she also got a D-level revelation reward that was not too small, and obtained a source of power. His sky-splitting palm quest becomes 8/10. It's just 2 sources of power. I don't know how powerful the upgraded sky-splitting divine palm is. Lu Gui said to the second daughter, there are interesting things behind this, I'll step back first, you can deal with it. With that, he disappeared in place. Nuwa came in almost with her front feet and back feet. Zai, Chang 11, was taken aback when they saw Nuwa's figure. This monkey predecessor is really clever and has already calculated Nuwa's return. Combined with the tragic fate of his sisters just now, Zai and Chang 11 were even more unwelcome to Nuwa. Nuwa looked at the two daughters and smiled gently. Two sisters, sister, I haven't come to see you for a long time. Chang 11 and Zai's faces were cold, which made Nuwa have an ominous premonition. But she still said, sister, have you thought about it? Believe me, Your Majesty the Emperor, he is the best handsome man in the flood wilderness, he reigns in the flood wilderness, and is the emperor of one side. Your Majesty Emperor Jun is the son of the sun star, and the identity of the two goddesses Taiyan Xing, Yin and Yang complement each other, a match made in heaven. And, Your Majesty Emperor Jun Heavenly Emperor Destiny, if the two of you are the Queen of Heaven, it will give birth to a heavenly marriage and merit from heaven. When the time comes, not only will you benefit, but you will also extend your descendants. If it was before, Chang 11 and Zai, hearing the words of the second daughter, I am afraid they would still be moved. But now that they have obtained the innate yin and yang method, Chang 11 and 11 he only want to cultivate. The two of them had indifferent expressions. Sister, we appreciate your kindness, but my sisters are still young and don't want to find a Taoist partner. If you talk about it, please go back. When Nuwa heard this, she was stunned. She also thought that she would succeed this time. Last time, although Chang Zixi and the second daughter refused, they were also quite moved. What is going on? Nuwa knew that if she said it again, it would only have the opposite effect. Two sisters, I advise you to think carefully. Nuwa was helpless and turned away from Taiyan Star. She flew all the way back to the desolate world, but she didn't notice that a group of people were staring at her back. Nuwa has failed again, and the two goddesses on the Taiyan Star will not enter the oil and salt. My eldest brother is a genius, and they don't give face. This Nuwa is also a waste of firewood, and it is not good to do things. Looking at Nuwa's back, Honghuang Tai couldn't help but snort coldly. As the weakest of the 6 disciples, Tai has always been dissatisfied with Nuwa. He followed Nuwa this time, but he was just curious to see his future sister-in-law, and sure enough, the country was beautiful and fragrant, and he was worthy of being a big brother. However, the goddess did not give face, and Tai was also very angry. At this time, Bai Zi beside him smiled. The Eastern Emperor doesn't have to worry, I believe that the two goddesses will definitely marry His Majesty Emperor Jun, it's just that there are many good things. However, if you want to speed up the process, it's not impossible. Bai Zi smiled mysteriously, and Tai asked, Prime Minister Bai Zi, do you have something to say quickly? Your Majesty the Eastern Emperor, the two goddesses of the Taiyan Star, because they were late in transforming into shapes, they have not caught up with the speech of Honghuang Dao ancestor, and now although they are born with De Luo Jin immortal, their understanding of the great Dao is extremely negligent. So, that's where we can take advantage of it. Taiyan Star, there is a laurel tree among the 10 spiritual roots, It is a very precious treasure, because the two goddesses can't do it, so there are many people in the wilderness, go to fight the idea of the laurel tree. But because the two goddesses are Dalodojin immortal after all, most of them were beaten back. Can we start here? Tai put on a deaf look. Bai Zi smiled proudly, I'm in the Honghuang wilderness, and I have some scattered immortal friends, I asked them for help, pretending to be a thief who wants to steal the laurel tree, and the two imperial concubines can't beat him. When the second daughter experiences despair, we will arrange for His Majesty Nuwa and His Majesty Daijun to come to the door to ask for marriage. The hero saves the beauty, and when the time comes, won't the beauty be caught? When Tai heard this, he hesitated, will this be the case? The two sisters-in-law will blame me if they know the truth in the future. Bai Zi smiled, Your Majesty, rest assured, my friend, called Wajia Daxian, is also one of the 3,000 guests of Hongchen, and now he is a quasi-saint. As long as we promise a lot of money, the other party will definitely do well. If your Majesty is not at ease, we can. Afterwards, Bai Zi made a movement to wipe his neck, and Tai laughed. That's great. You go and make arrangements, I'll go back to heaven and tell my eldest brother. Bai Zi stopped Tai, this matter Emperor Jun and His Majesty Nuwa, it's best not to know, this kind of performance is real enough. Tai nodded repeatedly. This Bai Zi is really a wise man in the demon clan, and he is clever. Bai Zi and Tai separated, Bai Zi went to the Honghuang to find his old friend, and Tai went all the way to heaven. After they left, Lu Gui came out of the void with a funny expression. These guys, did you give me a fierce material for nothing? I see, I said why Chang 11 and Zai are different from the performance in my memory, I only know the result, I don't know the reason. Tai, Daijun. This time, I'm going to make you embarrassed and throw you home. Lu Gui flew back to Taiyan Star. Zai, Sister Chang 11, is still talking about Lu Gui, the senior. My predecessor preached well, I want to hear him speak. By the way, where did the seniors go? Missed me. Lu Gui's voice appeared behind the 2-11 he, and Chang 11 rose instantly, their faces were red, and they were at a loss. They can't wait to find a crack in the ground to get into. Lu Gui smiled, he wouldn't misunderstand, 11 and Chang 11 would like him after a while. To put it bluntly, it's still the second daughter talking about people behind her back, and I'm sorry to be caught. Senpai, where have you been? Chang 11 has a lively personality, the beauty stares at Lu Gui bares his teeth and smiles. I've heard something interesting, go over and verify it. It's about the two of you. Chang 11 and Wen Yan looked at each other. Lu Gui didn't talk nonsense, with a wave of his hand, a video appeared in front of the second daughter. But hearing the conversation between Bai Zi and Tai, the second daughter trembled with anger. Even the gentle Zai goddess is also pretty and cold. Despicable, these despicable villains, still want to force us two sisters to comply. Chang 11, sister, that Emperor Jun is despicable and shameless, he dares to come, we will kill him. When the second daughter was murderous, Lu Gui heard a prompt from the system in his mind. The host broke the news of the Tai conspiracy, the revelation level B, the reaction level, Fengruo God. Overall rating, A. The host has obtained supernatural powers, 5-colored divine light. The host obtains 1 spatial origin and 1 origin of force. The host has gained mana for 100,000 years. Sky Splitter Quest, 8/10. This revelation, as Lu Gui guessed, got the highest level of reaction. A-level rewards, so that Lu Gui gets a surprise. 5-color divine light, Kong Xian's 5-color divine light. This is a great supernatural power. Although Kong Xian himself is not a saint, this supernatural power is definitely a saint-level supernatural power. When Kong Xian was quasi-saint, he was able to brush the Saint Quasi-Ti Taoist into his five-color divine light, but in the end, because he was not able to cultivate, he was accepted by Zun Ti. It can be seen that this magic power is strong. Lu Gui got the five-color divine light and was very satisfied. He studied silently in his heart, and in an instant, the five-colored brilliance on Lu Gui's body flowed. On Lu Gui's body, there are 5 more hairs made of innate 5 elements. His innate 5-element law is just right to fuse with the five-color divine light. Lu Gui swiped it casually, and directly brushed the space to a large piece. This terrifying power made Chang 11 and the sisters frightened. This senior was indeed a great senior who comprehended the innate 5 elements law. Amazing powers. Chang Zixi and the little stars in his eyes, adoring Lu Gui very much. Lu Gui put away the five-colored divine light, swallowed the origin of space and the origin of power, and strengthened his own laws of space and power. The law of space is just in line with the mustard Sumeru's supernatural power. The law of force, Lu Gui's power is many times stronger. He took a deep breath and saw 11 and Chang 11's adoring gazes. Lu Gui smiled reservedly. These two people were convinced of themselves, and the matter of changing the Taoian fruit was stable. Senior, this Emperor Jun is too much. Zai took a deep breath and begged Lu Gui, my sisters thank their seniors for reminding us, but those people are powerful, we don't know if we can deal with them. Ask the seniors to help the two sisters. Zai gritted his teeth, what do the seniors want, our two sisters promise you. The two beauties looked at themselves with pleading eyes. Lu Gui couldn't help but have his heart beating wildly. He took a deep breath and made a gesture like a magic stick. It's easy, but I won't show up for. Lu Gui told the plan again, and the second daughter nodded hurriedly. Anyway, there is still time, I'll just sort out the Taoian avenue for you. There is also the innate yin and yang Dao. In order to have a good relationship with the two goddesses, Lu Gui also made a favor. Anyway, Daijun and they arrived early, so it was better to perform for the sisters. As soon as he said it, Zai and Chang 11 listened to it fascinated, and time passed little by little. And at this time, Heavenly Court. Tai waited in Heavenly Court for Bai Zi to come over and give him a finished expression. He went straight to the Lingxiao Palace. I heard Nuwa say to Daijun. Your Majesty Emperor Jun, these two goddesses are so navi that they can't accept marrying for a while, let's wait. Before Dejun could speak, Tai came in. Nuwa Daiu, I don't think your methods are good, those two goddesses don't think they have ever seen my brother, if they see my eldest brother, maybe they will agree to it. Nuwa was displeased when she heard this Tai said that she was not doing well. She and Daijun and Tai have an equal relationship, and they don't have to care about Tai's feelings. As soon as Nuwa pulled down her face, Daijun hurriedly played around, Tai, how did you speak? Tai snorted coldly and said, I didn't mean to target Nuwa Daiu, I just said what I thought. The so-called love between men and women, the two goddesses of Taoian have never seen my brother, how do you know if you like it or not? Why don't we visit each other as friends and try each other's reactions? Nuwa and Daijun thought about it, and it seemed to make sense. The Eastern Emperor is right, Nuwa also wants to complete the heavenly marriage for Emperor Jun as soon as possible and find an opportunity for her own preaching. Second brother, then I'll go with Nuwa Daiu. Daijun is also very concerned about this matter. Seeing the two of them say this, Nuwa nodded in agreement. Without further ado, the three of them went together, took gifts, and flew to the Taoian star. At this time, another quasi-saint, one step ahead of the three of them, quietly came towards the Taoian star. Lu Gui's supernatural powers are listening to the world's supernatural powers and are aware of all this. He smiled slightly and told Sister Chang 11, that Wujia ancestor is here. When Sister Chang 11 heard this, her good mood for hearing the sermon was gone. Sure enough, not long after, there was a laugh from outside the Taoian star. Laurel, I want it. This old man, as if he was afraid that the two sisters would not know, deliberately made a noise. Chang 11 and sisters, heard the old man report his name. His expression was gloomy. The senior said that he was right, this is too handsome, and he deceives people too much. When Chang 11 turned around, he found that Lu Gui was no longer there. They were weak-hearted, but they smiled when they heard Lu Gui. Chang 11 only felt that there were more earrings on his ears, and the divine light was circulating. Senpai. Chang 11 was taken aback. Lu Gui actually turned into a magic weapon, on her. She was red-faced, but she also knew that Lu Gui had not abandoned them. The two girls glanced at each other and rushed out, where is it sacred, come to my Taoist star. Laurel beauty. Not bad, haha. Wujia ancestor, stretched out his hand, gorgeously turned into a huge palm, and slapped towards Chang 11 and Zai 11 and Chang 11's expressions were angry, and Phelan appeared next to the two daughters, and Zai's Phelan was a full moon. Chang 11's Phelan is a crescent moon. The two moon rings, extremely cold, passed towards Wujia. This moon wheel is the companion magic weapon of the two goddesses, the Taoist star wheel, which is the best innate spiritual treasure. A pair of Taoist star wheels directly broke through the giant hand of the Wujia ancestor. Wujia ancestor was furious, and immediately turned into a great supernatural power and pressed towards the second daughter. Chang 11, Zai is just a Luo Jin immortal, and there is still a slight gap between him and the quasi-saint, and he was suppressed by death when he landed. Cold sweat flowed. At this time, the Wujia ancestor laughed fiercely. I'm going to destroy the flowers today. At this time, Dijun and his party just stepped into the range of Taoist star and witnessed everything. Two beauties with cold characters were bullied by a hideous-looking old fairy. The moment Dijun saw the two girls, he was shocked, like being struck by lightning. Zai, Chang 11, was originally one of the most beautiful goddesses in the wilderness, not under Nuwa. He fell in love instantly, at first sight. Tai. Seeing that someone was bullying Zai and Chang 11, Dijun was furious. Tai got Dijun's order, and he had already prepared again. Seeing that the ancestor of Wujia had forced the second daughter to the ground. A trace of killing intent flashed in the eyes of the Eastern Emperor Tai, and the chaos bell went directly towards the Wujia ancestor. He's ready to kill someone. Who knew that at this time, next to Chang 11's ear, a crescent moon earring suddenly flashed with a bright light. In the light, a tall deity appeared in front of Agar. The god was majestic, and with a palm strike, the surrounding air instantly froze. The god slapped his palm on the Wujia ancestor. The other party vomited blood and was seriously injured. Dijun and Nuwa were dumbfounded. Tai was also dumbfounded. What about the plot of the hero saving the beauty? At this time, Dijun reacted. Who dares to hurt the two goddesses? Tai, take down the person for me, I need him, I can't survive or die. After he finished speaking, concern flew over. The two goddesses are fine, I, the Sun Star Emperor Jun, have seen the two goddesses. Chang 11, Zai stood up, Chang 11 asked. You're Dijun. Dijun looked obsessed, it's me. Syllable. Chang 11 slapped him in the face. Despicable villain. Dijun is stupid. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 58. Chang 11 suddenly made a move. Even if Dijun was a quasi-saint, he was also attacked by a sneak attack. He was confused. The people brought by Nuwa and Dijun were also confused. Donghuang Tai was furious, what are you doing, dare to beat my eldest brother? When he raised the chaos bell, he was ready to burst out and kill. Nuwa and Dijun hurriedly stopped him. Dijun's face was blue and white, although he was angry in his heart, but he liked Chang 11 and the two very much. So he suppressed his anger and looked unpleasant. Two girls, Dijun, I don't think I offended the two girls, why did you beat me and call me a despicable villain? Chang 11 trembled with anger, and even the pendant in his ear shook around. The pendant ran across her skin, tickling her. She blushed and said, Daijun, Tae, Nuwa, you despicable villains. In order to force me and my sister to marry you, you even used such a trick. His words shocked Dijun. Nuwa was also confused. What is this? Chang 11's accusations can only be understood by Tae, Bai Zi and Wajia ancestor. The three of them looked at each other and quickly pretended not to know each other. Nuwa frowned, she didn't expect things to turn out like this. She flew to Chang 11's side, two sisters, what's going on? Chang 11 looked at Nuwa with a sneer, okay, I want to know what's going on, I'll see. For myself. She directly showed the spell images retained by Lu Gui. Nuwa, Tae, Bai Zi, Daijun, and Wajia ancestor were all struck by lightning. This material is too fierce. Caught Dijun and the others off guard. Dijun stammered, turned his head and glared angrily, Tae, what are you just doing? The Eastern Emperor was so angry that he looked at the Wajia ancestor again, and the Wajia ancestor jumped up. Bai Zi, I treat you as a friend, you actually want to kill me. Nuwa was also angry. Honghuang Tae, you despicable villain, trapping me in injustice? Also, what are you scolding me? Turn the face, turn the face. As soon as 11 and Chang 11's influence was shot, the scene exploded instantly. Wajia ancestor spit out a mouthful of blood and killed Bai Zi desperately. Honghuang Tae hurriedly stopped. Nuwa took out the red hydrangea, stared at it, and took Tae directly. Nuwa, you're crazy. Honghuang Tae used the chaos bell to block the red hydrangea, but Wajia rushed into the demon camp and went on a killing spree. For a while, this scene was just one word, chaos. Dijun was so angry that he trembled, and he didn't know what was going on. His younger brother carries himself behind his back and designs his future wife. Also offended his partner, Nuwa, behind his back. But the matter was revealed, and the old immortal named Wajia became angry and killed. Also, the goddess misunderstood herself, how could she explain it to the goddess? Dijun's head was blown up, and he wanted to destroy all these guys. Seeing the two goddesses looking at him with disdain, he almost vomited blood. What to do? Seeing Nuwa fighting with Tae, Wajia, a quasi-saint, went on a killing spree in the demon camp. He can only summon the Hichulugo book and lock the Wajia ancestor. Emperor Jun condensed a divine fire and killed the Wajia ancestor. Sister, this sinister villain, ready to kill people. Chang 11 said a word to Zai, and Zai nodded. When Dijun heard this, poof. Directly vomited a mouthful of blood, and his heart was broken. Emperor Jun's anger was monstrous, turning into a three-legged golden crow, and directly taking the Wajia ancestor. Wajia ancestor, who is not the opponent of Emperor Jun, vomited blood again. However, when he saw that the situation was not good, he said, Emperor Jun, if you are unkind and unjust, I will take revenge. And flew away. Dijun also wanted to stay in Wajia, because if he was allowed to fly back to the flood wilderness, he would definitely lose his reputation, and this matter would be wrong. He looked back and saw Tae and Nuwa, still fighting together. Dijun's head instantly grew, and he shouted angrily. Tae, you still don't stop. Said so, but Dijun took action to stop Nuwa. Donghuang Tae and Nuwa glanced at each other and snorted angrily. Tae and Nuwa can be regarded as having a feud. However, Nuwa and Tae both gave Dijun face and retreated. Looking at the scene in front of him, Dijun looked so tired. Tae, how can you do such a thing? Quickly apologized to the two girls. He had an expression of hatred that iron could not become steel. Donghuang Tai was wronged, he didn't want to help Dijun. Tomorrow's seamless plan was recognized, and Tai couldn't think of it himself. What was wrong with him? He looked at the two Taiyan goddesses with unkind eyes. Do you want to force it? Brothers are of the same heart, and Dijun immediately sensed Tai's thoughts and stopped them with his eyes. Dijun walked over and bowed. Two goddesses, it's Dijun, isn't it? I'm here to make amends to the two goddesses, and these spiritual treasures and heavenly treasures will be left to the two goddesses. Dijun handed over the gift that was originally brought to Zai and Chang 11 and handed it over. Zai, Chang 11 cold-eyed. Dijun, take you and your villain brother, and get out of Taiyan Star for me. Despicable villain, if it weren't for the divine monkey seniors who saw through your calculations in time, my sisters might have been counted by you. Zai was still apprehensive when he mentioned this calculation, and they knew that if Tai's plan succeeded, they might have been deceived by this villain. Since the transformation of the second daughter, there have been many people in the Moon Palace who have the idea of beating the laurel tree. Taiyan Star is not a sun star, and it is naturally supported by divine fire, and the second daughter is also very difficult to deal with. They temporarily defeated some immortals with low cultivation, but they couldn't stand up to those quasi-saint immortals. In the long run, sooner or later, the laurel tree will be lost. If at this time, there is an enemy who happens to be beaten away by Dijun. The second daughter was grateful, and in the absence of a way. It is indeed impossible to refuse Dijun's concern. If you want to get married, it's a matter of course. It's just that now there are divine monkey predecessors, teaching them the method of cultivation, breaking through the barrier, and becoming the peak of Deluo Jin immortal, and the quasi-saint can be expected in the future. The seniors instructed them to practice innate yin and yang. Isn't it better than the double X way of acquired yin and yang? Under normal circumstances, the sun and the sun are attracted, and when they see Dijun, the second daughter may really have a good impression of him. But now, only naked disgust remains. Senpai. Zai and Chang 11 were innocent, and they didn't realize that they had sold Lugui. Monkey, Senior. Nuwa, Dijun, Tai, and the three of them heard this term, and they couldn't help but have a nasty face in their minds. It's not him, is it? That's him, right? Dijun, Nuwa, Tai, were so angry that their faces were pale. This monkey again? Tai was furious, and Dijun also endured his anger. Now that he is at a loss, Dijun doesn't want to make trouble, so he can only bow down. Two goddesses, it's me who is wrong, I'll come back another day to apologize. Keep these gifts, let's go. Dijun pulled Tai, turned around and left. Nuwa nodded to the second daughter, and also left. Zai had a cold face, and was about to tell Dijun to roll with his things. Chang 11 put a crescent moon earring in his ear, and smiled. You stupid, what these guys keep is compensation. The two girls thought about it the same, and watched each other leave with a cold face. As soon as they left, Lugui changed from earrings to body. The wind brought out by his change blew through Chang 11's skin, and Chang 11's pretty face was slightly red. There is also the best innate spirit treasure, just for you to use to behead the corpse. Lugui glanced at the gift brought by Emperor Jun, and smiled. In order to marry a wife these days, the Emperor of Heaven is really desperate. However, the wife did not marry, and all the things were confiscated. Chang 11, and the second daughter, saluted Lugui. Thank you seniors, otherwise we will fall for the villain's scheme. Lugui smiled, that Emperor Jun is sincere to the two of you, it is not humiliating for you to marry him, but this unlucky child has a bad life, and he will definitely die. Chang 11 glanced at Lugui without a trace. Let's not marry him, is he unlucky, has nothing to do with us. I also want to thank my seniors for saving us once. Okay, by the way, I came to Yuexing this time, I originally wanted to ask you for something. Chang 11 and Zai glanced at each other. If there is anything about the seniors, just say it. I have a disciple who is the chaos spirit root transformation. Because of the transformation heavenly tribulation, he was injured by the origin, and the medicine is difficult to treat. If he wants to recover, he can only obtain the fruit from other spiritual roots and absorb the spiritual root source. This Moon Palace laurel tree is also one of the 10 innate spiritual roots, the Taoist divine fruit on the laurel tree. I want to exchange a few with you. Zai smiled. What did the senior say? You can have as much Taoist fruit as you want. The grace of preaching cannot be repaid. Sister. Chang 11 got Zai's hint and understood, and flew back to their dojo, and came over with a bunch of fruits from time to time. There are at least dozens of fruits in Chang 11's arms. She's very cute. Senior, here you go. Chang 11 and the two sisters, simple and innocent, can't wait to hand over all the inventory of Taoist star to Lu Gui. These fruits are more than enough for the treatment of Huangzhong Tongzi. Lu Gui's spell of a mustard seed Sumuru to collect the fruit. When the second daughter saw his spell, her eyes fluttered and blinked, and she was very envious. I can't repay it, I'll pass on this little spell to you. Lu Gui felt that the two daughters were cute, and directly read the mustard seed Sumuru's mantra to them. Chang 11 and the two goddesses were solemn and carefully memorized the formula. After a while, they can also turn into a small space, and they are excited. Master. The second daughter wants to kneel in front of Lu Gui and learn from her teacher. Lu Gui made a spell to stop the second daughter. I and the two goddesses, there is no master-apprentice relationship, this is just a small spell, don't mind. Zai's expression was solemn. Senior, although my sisters don't go out in this Taoist star, they can also clearly distinguish the strength and weakness of the supernatural powers, and the supernatural powers passed on to us by the seniors are clearly supernatural powers. Senior and, my sister is toothless and unforgettable. When Lu Gui heard this, he nodded with satisfaction. Mustard Sumuru is indeed not a great magic power for him. But he likes Zai, Chang 11's gratitude and retribution. Socializing with people who are comfortable is often pleasant to the body and mind. Because they were disliked by Honghuang, the immortals of the desolation were like leaving themselves. Are afraid of offending Honghuang. Even if it is the big demon of the same demon clan, the demon god, as well as Daijun, Nuwa and others, this is the case. Lu Gui doesn't have many friends. The ones who are really friends are the sworn enemies of the demon clan, the witch clan. Friends, you're welcome, I'm fine on the Taoist star. Then I'm like two goddesses saying goodbye and going back to the wilderness. Chang 11's beautiful eyes rippled, and she looked curious. Senior, Honghuang, is it fun? She had never taken a step out of the Taoist star, and she was very curious about the desolate world. The stars are cold, there is only one natural palace. Usually except for some people who fight the idea of laurel trees, no one comes. Lu Gui smiled and said something to the second daughter, and the second daughter was fascinated. Lu Gui agitated, or, why don't you go with me to play in the flood wilderness? 11 and Chang 11's eyes immediately showed a look of joy, but it dimmed again. Senior, let's go again in the future, now that the Taoist star is too yin, many thieves covet the laurel tree, we have to keep it and protect it. Lu Gui smiled, you can arrange a big array. Taoist star is one of the two most important stars in the flood wilderness, if it is arranged slightly, it can block the quasi-saint. 11 and Chang 11's eyes lit up, and there is still this kind of practice? Lu Gui smiled and asked the second daughter to take him to their dojo, the Moon Palace. That is, the place that was later called Guanggan Palace. I'll tell you the way of the formation. Lu Gui told the story. 100 years have passed, and the second daughter suddenly realized. Zai, Chang 11, sitting on the Taoist star, with the Guanggan Palace as the core and the laurel tree as the array, a cold brilliance appeared on the surface of the moon palace. The moonlight shrouded in the Taoist star became even colder. That layer of faint moonlight, the defense is amazing. At the very least, the general quasi-saint must not be broken. Especially this array is guided by the laurel tree. If anyone dares to move the laurel tree, it will trigger the siege of the power of the Taoist star. This formation, by 11 and Chang 11, was named the Taoist Moon Wheel Great Array. After arranging the formation, the two daughters cheered. It's finally time to hang out. Chang 11 was excitedly grabbed Lu Gui's hand, and immediately felt that something was wrong, and let go directly. His face flushed. Lu Gui smiled. Didn't care. It is not a bad thing to lead the two goddesses down to the wilderness, and to have multiple friends. After doing so, Chang 11 and Zai were full of interest in the flood journey. At this time, Heavenly Court, Dijun didn't think about it. Is still reminiscing about 11 and a smile. Big brother, why don't I go to the Moon Palace in person and take the guilt? Dijun's mind has been all on the two goddesses, and Tai is also a little weak and takes the initiative to remind him. The two have been brothers for many years, and Tai knows Dijun very well. This Emperor Jun is moved sincerely. Dijun was originally just missing an excuse, but now that Tai took the initiative to propose, he groaned. Okay, second brother, I just wronged you. Brother doesn't say a word. Dijun comforted Tai, and Tai hurriedly said, this is also my own crooked idea. Angry with the two sisters-in-law, I will go with the eldest brother. The eldest brother is willing to fight and scold. Follow you. Dijun said, I think the two goddesses are not people who don't know right and wrong. You apologize, well, it's still okay. The two of them flew towards the Taoist star together. At this time, Chang 11 and Zai were excited, followed Lu Gui, and flew towards the flood wilderness. Lu Gui was laughing with the second daughter, and suddenly his ears moved. Immediately, he smiled and said, it seems that the two of you are going to meet someone you don't like. As soon as he finished speaking, two rainbow lights flew directly. Dijun and Tai, when they saw Lu Gui and the two goddesses together, were shocked and stunned. 6-ear, what are you doing? Emperor Jun saw Lu and the two goddesses talking and laughing, and he was jealous. Lu Gui looked at Dijun thoughtfully, what, you still have to care about me? You're trying to harm me. When Tai saw Lu Gui, he was angry and sacrificed the chaos bell. When Lu Gui heard this, he was non-committal. What, Tai, haven't been beaten enough. Although Honghuang Tai is strong, he is not in the eyes of Lu Gui. He took out the wishful golden hoop stick, and the fighting spirit was monstrous. For a while, the bitter brother's brother and the old king next door were tense. Dijun, heartbreak. Especially looking at Zhang 11 and Chang 11, the two daughters are protected in front of Lu Gui. Dijun, Tai, what do you two villains want to do? Dijun was hit again, and his face turned pale. Two fairies, how are you with him? 11 and Len Mu, we two sisters, who are we friends with, do you still need to take care of it? Emperor Jun was angry, you can be friends with whomever you want, but you can't be with him, he is an outlier in the mouth of Daezu Hongjun, a common enemy of the Suanmen, and a common enemy, of the flood and wilderness. As soon as these words came out, Lu Gui's murderous intent soared. Even if he already knew the thoughts of Dijun and the others, Lu Gui was very angry about this. Hongjun said a word, although he is not so popular that everyone shouts and beats, but everyone rejects it. Except for a few people, most of them kept their distance from him. Dijun shouted the sentence, which was the truth. Lu Gui grinned, ready to take revenge. Zai, Dao ancestor, what does it have to do with us? We two sisters, and we have never received the grace of Dao ancestor, but we are six-eared seniors who have helped us a lot. If we don't go with the six-eared seniors, are we still with you two villains? Chang 11 said that there was no trace of blood on Dijun's face, and he was about to refute. The next moment, Dijun's eyes were about to split. I saw that Lu Gui suddenly stretched out his hand and took the hands of Zai and Chang 11, the two goddesses, and their bodies shook violently. Immediately, his face turned red. Two sisters, don't talk to them. You're not one of them, there's no need to explain. Zai and Chang 11, who didn't have the heart to listen to Lu Gui's words, their breathing was short, their hands and feet were at a loss, and they froze there. I just thought, why did the seniors hold our hands? For so many years, 11 he and Chang 11, if they said that they secretly promised Lu Gifang, it was too much. But there is definitely a good feeling. Under normal circumstances, this affection may not ferment, even for tens of millions of years, and it may not develop into the love between men and women. But in order to disgust Dijun, Lu Gui deliberately came to such a hand, directly stabbing the two of them with a little bit of caution. The two goddesses, with panicked expressions. But in exchange, Dijun's heartbroken voice. Lu Gui seemed to be smiling, looking at the green grassland of Dijun. Dijun's expression was frightened, diffuse, and turned into a hideous color. Tai is even more angry. 6 heirs, you're looking for death. He sacrificed the chaos bell to suppress the earth, water, fire, and wind. Lu Gui smiled sarcastically and roared angrily. He let go of the second girl's hand and ran a battle to win the duel. Ruyi golden hoop rod turned into 1,000 Zhang giant stick. Cutting the sky. The demon god of war, the strongest supernatural power of the chaos demon ape, slashed the sky. In an instant, all the space that Tai had frozen was smashed by Lu Gui. Feelings can't be forced, are you angry? You might as well ask your brother to give you food. Lu Gui left a word, directly took the goddess's hand, and disappeared in place. Burst. Dijun spat out a mouthful of blood. Passed out to the ground. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 heirs. Chapter 59. Lure, I don't share the sky with you. Watched Lu Gui smash the barrier set by his chaos bell, and pulled the second daughter towards the desolation. Tai was so angry that he almost exploded. However, he saw that Dijun fainted, so he quickly helped Dijun up and flew directly to the Sun Star. Sun Star, Yutani, under the Fuzi tree. Dijun was rescued by Tai and woke up quietly. Big brother, are you okay? Tai looked at Dijun's grey face, and his anger burned slightly. Brother, where is there no grass at the end of the world? Those two cheap women, aren't they worth your anger? When Dijun heard this, a trace of blood appeared on his face. Lu Gui, I don't share the sky with you. He stood up and took a deep breath. The humiliation you gave me Dijun today, I will pay it back 100 times. Tai echoed. Big brother, this is the momentum that your heavenly emperor should have. Although that demon monkey has great powers, it is not invincible. You wait for me to completely refine the chaos bell, and then I will personally take off his head and give it to you. Those two, they don't let the diva go, then you will be your maid from now on. When Dijun mentioned Zai and Chang 11, his heart couldn't help but hurt. He exhaled, don't mention it. However, the strength of my two brothers, as well as the demon clan's heavenly court, is still too weak after all. Although fights with the Wu clan have occurred from time to time in the desolate world, overall, we are too far behind the Wu clan. After all, we still have to recruit more talents. When Tai heard this, he said, Big brother, most of the big demons of this demon clan have been taken under the banner of heavenly court by me, but there are still some big clans that we can't take. They won't join the demon clan. For example, the Qingqiu nine-tailed fox clan, the southern vermilion bird, the East China sea dragon clan, the western white tiger, and the northern Kunpeng and Suanwu ancestors. These big clans, independent clans, don't take the general trend of the demon clan into account at all. But don't worry, big brother, when the time comes, I'll carry the chaos bell and reason with them. The Eastern Emperor was furious, and Emperor Jun nodded with satisfaction. Brother, go ahead. You're big brother, I want to be quiet. Tai looked at the depressed Dai Jun, and felt a little pity for this lovelorn brother. He nodded, and turned into a flash of fire and rushed towards the desolation. At this time, Lu Gui had already entered the desolate world with his second daughter. The second daughter was the same as Grandma Lu when she entered the Grand View Garden, looking left and right, full of joy. This desolate world is vast and magnificent, far from being comparable to the Moon Palace. Especially in the distance, the Buzhu Mountain, which towered in the middle of the desolation, made the second daughter even more stunned. This is the desolate world, so beautiful. 11 and Chang 11's two daughters probed their brains. I want to go there. I want to go over there. Lu Gui smiled and pointed to Buzhu Mountain. There is the middle of the flood wilderness, Buzhu Mountain, there is a group of my friends there, I can take you to see it. Lu Gui is now in the flood wilderness, and he can really be regarded as a friend, and the only ones who don't dislike him are the Styx ancestor of the Sea of Blood and the 12 ancestors of the Wu clan at the foot of Buzhu Mountain. At most, add half of Zhenyuanzi. Others, even if they are not cold-eyed and sarcastic because of his strength, are definitely not heart-to-heart. 11 and Chang 11 can go anywhere, they don't know each other anywhere anyway. Lu Gui took them and flew towards the territory of the Wu clan. At this time, in a certain cave in Buzhu Mountain, Nuwa woke up from the fixed realm. Where is my chance? Distraught, Nuwa walked out of the dojo and looked at the sky. She was shocked, saw the three of them, and flew towards the Wu clan. Monkey, Chang 11, Zai, how are they together? 11 and Chang 11, no, that's my chance. Nuwa was so angry that she felt a little dangerous just by looking at the monkey and the two holy maidens being close. This monkey really is her natural nemesis. Wherever she goes, she ruins her good deeds. She couldn't help but be anxious, and hurriedly flew into the sky and flew towards the territory of the Wu clan. At this time, Lu Gui's ears moved, and Nuwa had already been discovered. He didn't stay, anyway, he didn't have anything to say to this girl for the time being. Lu Gui took the second daughter's hand and sped up. Nuwa watched from afar, her expression ugly. Hands are up. Nuwa muttered to herself, this. How can a monkey do that? 11 and Chang 11 were taken by Lu Gui to fly, although their expressions were shy, they were also a little used to it. They knew that Lu Gui was just unintentional. This is called one birth, 2 years of ripening. But in Nuwa's eyes, there are indeed 3 people, evidence of ambiguous stone hammers. Nuwa's face turned green. She wanted to go up and ask, but in front of her was the territory of the Wu clan. If you don't want to be made into a grilled snake. Nuwa could only go back. At this time, Lu Gui flew into the territory of the Wu clan with his second daughter. Immediately attract the attention of the warriors of the Witch Guard. The warriors saw a demon rush in and enter the battle state. At this time, an ancestral witch on duty also discovered Lu Gui's breath and directly burst out of his evil spirit. Who is the demon clan, dare to enter my witch clan's territory? After the other party finished speaking, he turned into the true body of the ancestral witch and punched him. The evil aura unique to the Wu clan fused into the fist and turned into a billowing flame. Zurong. Lu Gui recognized the other party at a glance as the Zurong ancestor witch of the Wu clan, and smiled. This dude, interesting. He didn't believe that the other party didn't recognize him, even if he didn't recognize him now, when he punched, he would definitely recognize him. It seems that Brother Zhurong has always wanted to try his skills. He didn't mind either, and let go of the second daughter's hand. Lu Gui turned into a Pangu divine ape and roared angrily, and Zhurong was almost scared. The 12 ancestors are not afraid of the heavens, the earth is not afraid, even if Lu Gui is a saint and incarnates as a chaos demon ape, they are not afraid. But the Pangu divine ape is the heel of Pangu, and he was born to suppress the Wu clan. Just as Lu Gui guessed, although Zhurong didn't recognize Lu Gui at first, he recognized it later. First, as the irascible brother of the Wu clan, he has always wanted to try Lu Gui's skills. Second, he knew that his sisters were a little bit of that for this monkey, and watching him pull the two goddesses to come, Zhurong couldn't see it. However, I wanted to teach the monkey a lesson, but I forgot that this big brother was a true descendant of Pangu. The Pangu god ape roared, and Zhurong almost knelt down for him. Brother 6, don't do it, it's my. Zhurong's face changed instantly, and he said with a smile. It turned out to be Brother Zhurong, I almost missed. Lu Gui smiled and said Yan Yan, and did not expose Zhurong's careful thoughts. Zhurong wiped a cold sweat. At this time, the 12 ancestral witches who were alarmed all flew out. Hutu, Xianming, when he saw Lu Gui, his eyes lit up, and then he saw the two beautiful goddesses beside Lu Gui, with complicated expressions. Brother Lu Gui, you ran early last time, and I haven't had a chance to entertain you well. Dijiang returned to Lu and left. Lu Gui and Dijiang also had a good relationship, and the two exchanged a few words. These two Taoist friends are the goddesses of the moon, Chang 11, Zai, my friends. When they first arrived in the wilderness, they were looking to see everywhere, so I brought them over. When the 12 ancestors heard this, they suddenly realized. 11 and Chang 11 were slightly uncomfortable with the evil spirit of the Wu clan. Lu Gui then waved it, and the discomfort of the two of them disappeared instantly. This kind of thoughtful action fell in the eyes of Hutu and Xianming, thoughtful. Dijiang laughed. Lu Gui's friend is our friend, if these two fairies don't dislike my witch clan's evil spirit, they can come often. The evil spirit of the Wu clan is indeed not very friendly to the immortals. However, Zai and Chang 11 smiled and nodded. The group entered the territory of the Wu clan, and Lu Gui looked around and found that the Wu clan began to move soldiers and horses. And compared to the last time he came, this time the Wu clan's killing aura was a little heavier. I'm afraid the Wu clan is going to break up. Also, the hatred of the two Lich clans has finally come to the table. Lu returned to the Wu clan twice, and he could clearly feel that the atmosphere was different, and the Wu clan did not have this kind of atmosphere before. Before the Wu clan, there was only hunting, not war. Even if it is a contradiction with the demon clan, it is just a witch clan hunting the demon clan, just like the weak and the strong in the world. The Wu clan has never taken the demon clan into account. Only a few big demons, who occupy the mountain as the king, can stop the demon clan. The other low-level demon clans are the ones who are bullied. Until Daijun, Tai, and the demon heavenly court appeared, which changed the situation. Emperor Jun unified the demon clan, condensed into a force, and fought with the Wu clan in the flood wilderness. Although most of the time, the Wu clan has the upper hand. But the demon clan at least makes the witch clan see it as an opponent. Lu Gui looked at the scene in front of him and knew that the day had finally come for the Wu clan to split up. The population of the Wu tribe is gathered under the Buzhu mountain, and hunts with the Buzhu mountain as the core. With the expansion of the population, this way of hunting, it is definitely not good. Therefore, the Wu tribe decided to split up and migrate the various tribes to various places in the flood wilderness. This is also the fuse of the first Lich War between the Wicks and the Demon clan. One is that after the Wu clan separated, the hunting range was wider, which made the Demon clan miserable. The second reason is that the Wu clan is separated, so that Dijun can see the opportunity to break through. However, Lu Gui does not plan to expose this matter for the time being. The Lich War, to put it bluntly, is a struggle for survival, and the other is a calamity push. He said it, but it didn't work. Unless it reaches a certain point in time, no one can solve the contradiction between the Witch clan and the Demon clan. Dijong took Lu Gui and his second daughter and went to Pangu Palace. As the only place in the Wu clan where you can send and receive evil spirits, Pangu Hall is suitable for summoning two goddesses. The two were walking, and Xianming suddenly grabbed Lu Gui. Lu Gui was stunned, and the two goddesses and Hutu who were walking beside him all paused. Xianming thought thoughtfully, "Dead monkey, what does these two goddess sisters have to do with you?" As a woman of the Wu tribe, Xianming is straight to the point. The scene became very embarrassing in an instant. "Haha, let's go get some wine." The man of the 12 ancestral witches, seeing that the situation was not good, hurriedly quickened his pace. Lu Gui saw Xianming looking at himself in a daze. He smiled, "Friend." In a word, some people are relieved, and some people are lost. A hint of joy rose in Xianming's heart. "It's all right." Ancestral witch Xianming walked away with a big grin. "Sure enough, it's a female man of the Wu clan." Lu Gui wiped his sweat, followed everyone, and went to Pangu Palace. However, Xianming, who was stunned, seemed to have pierced a certain layer of window paper, so as not to embarrass the atmosphere. Seeing that Lu Gui was embarrassed, Hutu girl walked over, gently took Zai and Chang 11's little hands, and chatted in a low voice. After a while, 11 and Chang 11 followed the Hutu sister and quickly became acquainted. The three girls chatted very happily and threw Lu Gui aside. Lu Gui looked at the picture of the three girls laughing and cheering, and nodded, "Hutu girl, she really has the demeanor of a big woman." Phew, what was I thinking? When he looked at Hutu, Hutu also peeked at him. The girl smiled skillfully, which reminded Lu Gui that in front of Zixiao Palace back then, she said that she was not a good person. Lu returned with a smile. Ho Tukiao's face was slightly red, and she turned her head away from looking at him. The group walked to the Pangu Palace, and the 12 ancestors had already set up the banquet. "Brother Six-Eared today, come in time. It just so happens that my Wu clan is dividing, going to the east and west, let's get together. Serve the wine, serve the food." Dijong gave an order, and the witches of the Wu clan sent wine and meat one after another. The wine of the Wu clan is the strongest blood wine, and the dish is the flesh of the giant beasts of the wilderness. 11 and Chang 11 sisters, where have they ever seen this kind of battle? They thought it was funny. First cup, to the Six-Eared brothers, "Thank you for the Pangu Chalcedony sent by the Six-Eared brothers, my 12 people have greatly increased their cultivation." To the Six-Eared brothers. To the Six-Eared seniors. The 12 ancestors and witches raised their glasses together, and Chang 11's two daughters also raised their glasses. Lu Gui smiled, "This was originally in exchange for your favors, but you are polite, you helped me get a lot of treasures from Fenbayan, Lu Gui, I haven't thanked you yet." "It's all brothers, it's easy to say." Dijong laughed and drank the wine. Lu Gui also drank the wine, and in an instant, a surging blood gushed out from the place of the day. This witch clan's blood wine is so powerful, as a chaotic heal, I can still feel the power of wine. The strength of this wine washed away Lu Gui's body. I washed the marrow of the I Ching for him, but his heels were too deep, and the blood wine did not have much effect. However, 11 he and Chang 11, who had never drunk blood wine, were just ordinary immortals, and they couldn't stand it in an instant. This wine is one of the best treasures of the Wu clan, and it is extremely beneficial for spiritual practice. Chang 11 and Zai drank so much that their bodies were hot and their faces were flushed. "Drink slowly," Lu Gui said, "Chang 11, Zai," and nodded meekly. "Girl, I respect you." The Xianming ancestor witch grinned and raised his glass again. Sister Xianming, it's done. The second daughter fought with Xianming for another glass of wine, and she was drunk directly because she was too strong to drink. Zai and Chang 11, the two daughters on one side, lay on Lu Gui's lap and fell asleep. Xianming saw that Chang 11 and Zai were closer to Lu Gui, and he couldn't steal the chicken and rice, so he was not convinced, and pulled Lu Gui to the bottle of wine. Lu Gui smiled. How could he be afraid of her? As a chaos demon god, the three major demon gods followed, and it didn't take long for Lu Gui to get Xianming drunk. Let Jean, I'll hug it. Someone is going to grab Lu Gui's thigh, don't pull it back. Xianming didn't care about it, and found Lu Gui to rely on the past. Hutu girl's apologetic eyes made Lu Gui smile. Brother Luerdeo, the two goddesses are already drunk, why don't you take them to me? I have a place to rest over there. Lu Gui looked at the other ancestral witches who had already drunk and smiled slightly. One in each hand, he picked up the two goddesses. Hutu's pupils shrank slightly, hugged his sister Xianming, and walked towards a side hall of Pangu Hall together. The 12 ancestral witches, each with its own sub-hall. Pangu Hall looks at the periphery, although it is not big, but it is also a space of its own. Lu Gui entered the Hutu partial hall and found that this place was actually a small world. The birds here are singing and the flowers are fragrant, simple, and unpretentious. The three goddesses were placed, Hutu and Lu returned, and chatted in the courtyard. Ho-Tu said, Six-eared Taoist, you know the affairs of the world, I don't know what you think of our Wu clan split. When Lu Gui heard this, he shook his head, the killing and robbery will start. Hutu's small mouth opened slightly, and his expression was surprised. The biggest problem of the Wu clan is to hunt all races, and you need a lot of blood food to cultivate your body. So the demon clan has become the main flesh and blood of the ancestral witch. Although this is the law of natural selection, the demon clan resists and has its rights. In the past, this was still a normal food chain, and when Emperor Jun became the Emperor of Heaven and unified the demon race, it was a race war. Lu Gui continued to drink and talked eloquently. The Wu clan is scattered all over the world, and it will inevitably expand the scope of hunting and harm the interests of more people, and those people will unite around the heavenly court. And Dijun, he has long wanted to fight with the Wu clan. In the past, the 12 ancestors and witches walked together, and the heavenly court was not an opponent at all. Now, spread out. It's a must, he can't help but do it. That's why I say, killing and plundering will be. Host reveals first Lich War secrets, leak level S, reaction level, convinced. Overall rating, S. Host gets reward, creation Jade Butterfly Fragment. The host gets a reward, creation Rune X1. The host has gained mana for 20,000 years. The host obtains the origin of cause and effect, the origin of war, and the origin of force. Sky Splitter Quest, 9/10. The moment Lu Gui finished speaking, the reward for breaking the news came as scheduled, and he obtained 200,000 years of mana, washed away his physical body, and continued to advance his cultivation to the peak of the quasi-saint. The S-level reward gave him a piece of creation Jade Butterfly. This means that Lu Gui has nearly 100 rules that can be comprehended. This time, the system also rewarded Lu Gui with a new thing, the Creation Rune. Creation Rune, it can pull a trace of the Great Dao of creation from the Great Dao for the host to use. Lu Gui almost stood up when he saw this husband. Pulling a trace of the avenue of creation from the avenue, these words are of great significance. This is not the way of heaven, this is the great way. The Great Dao of creation can create all things, and this Great Dao is very peculiar, which is not found in the 3000 Great Dao. There are 3000 demon gods, and there is not a single demon god of creation. Pangu is creation. If Lu Gui can make good use of the Silk Dao of creation, I am afraid that any possibility can be generated. While he was thinking, Hutu suddenly asked him. Six-eared Taoist, as a demon clan, do you turn your eyes back on me because my Wu clan slaughtered sentient beings? Lu Gui was stunned when he heard this, and asked with a smile, if I am the demon emperor, will you stop eating the demon clan because I am the heavenly emperor of the demon clan? Hutu was asked by Lu Gui and understood what Lu Gui meant. Standpoint. I believe in natural selection, but if it's someone I care about, I'll protect it, it's as simple as that. Lu Gui's words made Hutu's expression dim. It's just that the demon clan treats me as an outsider at all, why should I protect it? What I'm guarding is just my people and my clan. Lu Gui's next words made Hutu stunned. I eat the demon clan myself, what's more, what is the demon clan? The dragon clan is in the dragon and Han to measure the calamity, not the demon clan, and now the strength is weak, someone wants to let them be the demon clan. If Dijun is not the demon emperor, and the demon emperor has someone else, will he be willing to be a demon clan? Lao Tzu is not a demon emperor, what kind of demon emperor's heart? Lu Gui said a lot of things that Hutu didn't understand, and at the same time sneered in his heart. The demon clan, the witch clan, there is indeed a struggle for survival, but after all, it is just a sacrifice launched by Honghuang and Tiandao. These words are not the time to break the news. Hutu asked this, he didn't mean anything else, he just didn't want to. With you. For the enemy. After the soil girl finished speaking, she felt that she had exposed something. With peach blossoms on her face, she quickly stood up. I'll go see them. Hutu turned and left. Lu Gui watched Hutu leave, in a happy mood. At this time, outside the Wu clan, the Eastern Emperor Tai was carrying the Chaos Bell to Bihai. This time, if Kunpeng doesn't agree to enter my demon court, I'll kill him. Just when Tai was close to Bihai, Kunpeng old ancestor cave mansion, he found that the earth was rolling. Kunpeng's cave mansion was actually trapped. Kunpeng, if you kill my friend, I will make you pay for your blood today. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 60. Donghuang Tai didn't expect that Zhen Yuanzi would actually trap Kunpeng ancestor. Just read his local book, Summon Boundless Earth Qi, and list the great array of mixed ancestral veins. Directly trapped the Kunpeng ancestor in his palace. Hongyun was killed by Kunpeng? When Tai heard the news, he was confused. When did this happen? Zhen Yuanzi, this guy, is really hidden. He only heard Zhen Yuanzi say in the great array of mixed Yuan ancestral lineages. I've been hiding for tens of thousands of years, just to wait for this opportunity. If you kill my old friend and take away his Hongmeng purple qi, I will break your body into 10,000 pieces. When Kunpeng ancestor heard this, he was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. He didn't regret killing Hongyun, but he really didn't get Hongmeng purple qi. But Zhen Yuanzi probably doesn't believe this kind of thing, and with Kunpeng's pride, he won't argue with Zhen Yuanzi. The two fought, and the fight was inextricable, and the more Kunpeng fought, the more depressed he became. Zhen Yuanzi's mixed ancestral lineage array just restrained his attributes. Kunpeng is suitable for what kind of battle method is wrong with one blow and thousands of miles away. Zhen Yuanzi obviously knew his advantage, and it took tens of thousands of years to wait for the opportunity to trap him in the palace. Here, Kunpeng can't let go at all. Originally, at the beginning, Kunpeng didn't look down on Zhen Yuanzi, and among the 3,000 guests in Hongchen, Zhen Yuanzi has always been a very low-key kind of person. Don't fight, don't get angry. Until the news of Hongyun's killing infuriated this good man. The ancestor of the earth immortals was angry and destroyed the heavens and the earth. Only then did Kunpeng know that the great array of mixed Yuan ancestral veins still had the power to kill. Collapse. With a palm, Zhen Yuanzi beat Kunpeng to the point that his whole body was cracked, and blood was gushing out. At this time, Tai, who was watching the battle, grinned. Buying people's hearts, Honghuang purple gas. I want it all. Tai suddenly sacrificed the chaos bell, and a bell rang. The entire mixed Yuan ancestral vein great array shattered in an instant. Zhen Yuanzi and Kunpeng, neither expected someone to suddenly intervene, and when they saw that it was the Eastern Emperor Tai, Zhen Yuanzi's face changed slightly. He sped up, trying to kill Kunpeng quickly. Tai laughed, Chaos Bell, fixed the ground, water, fire, and wind. The Chaos Ancestral Vein Great Array, trying to fight against the Chaos Bell. Tai, Zhen Yuanzi, do you still think that I am Tai tens of thousands of years ago? As soon as the Eastern Emperor Tai finished speaking, the Chaos Bell rang again, booming, and the continent around the Northland, a very large piece, was shattered by the Eastern Emperor Tai. Zhen Yuanzi's expression changed greatly. Tai actually found his weakness directly. Zhen Yuanzi is the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, as long as he stands on the Earth, he is invincible. But now the Earth has perished. Zhen Yuanzi's strength weakened a lot in an instant. Tai laughed. Surrounded by Chaos Bell and stars, Zhen Yuanzi was suppressed again. At this time, the half-dead Kunpeng wanted to run, but was defeated by Tai's backhand. Honghuang purple chi, hand it over. East Emperor Tai, murderous. Kunpeng almost fainted with both eyes. Where did he get Honghuang purple chi? I didn't, Honghuang purple chi disappeared, I thought I killed Hongyuan, and it disappeared. If I want to have Honghuang purple chi, I would have already found a place to refine it. Tai, of course, didn't believe this, and his anger was monstrous. But when Zhen Yuanzi listened, he was like being struck by lightning. Six-eared Taoist, six-eared Taoist is right, it's him. It's Daozu Hongjun. Tai was interrogating Kunpeng ancestor, Zhen Yuanzi's whole body was torn and turned into a bloody man, and the next moment, the earth shook. He disappeared in place. As soon as the Eastern Emperor Tai turned around, he found that Zhen Yuanzi actually broke free from his shackles and ran away with the earth escape technique. Tai was as cold as water, and directly sacrificed the Chaos Bell and collected the Kunpeng ancestor into the Chaos Bell. I went back to heaven. The blood and wine of the Wu clan were very strong, and the 11 and Yu Changzi sisters slept for several days before they woke up. Chang 11 and Zai, after waking up, they didn't even dare to testify to each other. Sister, it's too embarrassing, I don't know what the six-eared seniors will think of us. Sister, don't say it, six-eared seniors. Zai and his sister Chang 11 whispered, but the content all fell into Lu Gui's ears. He smiled, enjoying being alone with Hutu, a moment of tranquility. Not long after, the female man Xianming also woke up and walked out with Chang 11 and Zai. Two fellow Taoists, it's time for us to go. Didn't you say you wanted to go to my dojo? I'll take you. Lu Gui said to Chang 11 and Zai, and when Hutu and Xianming heard that Lu Gui had a dojo, their eyes lit up. Fellow Taoist, why don't you say that you opened a dojo? There was a hint of anger in the beautiful eyes of the Hutu girl, and Lu Gui smiled. It's just that it occupies a mountain, and in the East China Sea, it's not worth making a big fuss. Hutu, Daiu's sentence is wrong. A dojo, especially a great power like Daiu, should open a mansion and set up a banquet, so that thousands of immortals can gather, and it can also increase luck for your dojo. Lu Gui smiled, Hutu Daiu, do you think I have friends in the Honghuang? Ho Tu was stunned when he heard this, and then covered his mouth and smiled. The six-eared friend is right. Like the Wu clan, these six-eared Dao friends are also alone. Because of Hongjun, who dares to provoke him. Even Dijun and the others, who were also demon clans, didn't dare to go over. Hongchun's 3,000 guests, as well as their disciples and grandchildren, are all proto-copyright GA copyright S of Daozu Hongjun, If you don't want to betray Daozu, then you have to stand in line honestly. Otherwise, they will be ostracized by others. Monkeys now, in the flood famine is equal to social death. Who said that the seniors have no friends? We are. Chang 11 hurriedly came out to show his loyalty. 11 He smiled softly and nodded. Xianming also patted his chest. Monkey, you are a friend of our Wu clan. Lu Gui laughed. Okay, I'll recognize you friends. He was in a good mood and stood up. Then I'll find a suitable time to open the mansion and hold a banquet to entertain you. But now is not the time. I'll take Chang 11 and Zai to take a look first. Hutu girl and Xianming girl, I also want to go. However, they are working on the migration of the Wu tribe, which is a major event for the Wu tribe, and it is also their responsibility as ancestral witches. They could only nod in disappointment. Lu Gui went out, and after saying goodbye to the rest of the 12 ancestral witches, he flew away directly with the 2 goddesses. Entering the East China Sea, Lu Gui vaguely sensed. It seems that there is a certain chance related to you. He used his magical powers, listened to the world, and finally found a clue. He flew towards the bottom of the sea somewhere in the East China Sea and found the dying Zhen Yuanzi. Zhen Yuanzi uses the qi of the ley lines to protect himself, and the outside world can't find out. However, Lu Gui's 6-eared supernatural power still found a hint from the vibration of the earth's veins. Finally found Zhen Yuanzi. Zhen Yuanzi has been seriously injured, and there is no good place in his body. On his body, there are still traces left by the true fire of the great sun. Lu Gui didn't need to ask, he knew who did it. The big day is really hot, except for Daijun and Tai, there is no third person in this world. Lu Gui thought for a moment and wrapped Zhen Yuanzi in a spell. He casually fed a drop of Sangguang divine water. The power of the 3 light divine water made Zhen Yuanzi recover most of it. But the other party did not wake up, but muttered to himself. Obviously, he is in a state of inner demons and can't extricate himself. Lu Gui took Zhen Yuanzi back to Yingzhou Island together, crossed the great array of Canghai in all directions, and the heavenly Dao people opened a way for Lu Gui. The owner of the island is back. As soon as Lu Gui appeared, the fairy on the island screamed in surprise. A few drops of cold sweat appeared on the monkey's forehead. It's only been a few years, and even the owner of the island has been called. What's going on with you? After the monkey paused, he took the second daughter and went to the Chaos Palace on Yingzhou Island. In the Chaos Palace, Lu Gui not only saw his apprentice Huang Zhongboy, but also saw the Queen Mother of the West. I haven't seen her for many years, and she was actually promoted to be a palace maid in the Chaos Palace. He didn't have time to entertain the second daughter and put Zhen Yuanzi down. Zhen Yuanzi woke up leisurely, saw Lu Gui, and stood up suddenly. He puffed and knelt in front of Lu Gui. The 6-eared predecessor is right, the death of my Taoist friend Honghuang is really a ghost of Hung Jun Laoer. It's just that I don't understand, why did he do this? Lu Gui smiled. Xiangzhuang's sword dance is intended for Pei Gong, his purpose is you. When Zhen Yuanzi heard this, he was shocked. Although I don't understand the meaning of Lu Gui's last sentence, the second half of the sentence is very obvious. Hung Jun is targeting himself? Zhen Yuanzi stared at Lu Gui, wanting to hear what he said. Lu Gui smiled. You know the way of heaven, can you know the desolation, and there are 2 ways. The 3 realms of heaven, earth, and man are the mainstream of the flood and wilderness. It's just that now the authenticity and humanity have not yet awakened. The immortals in this world only know the way of heaven, but they don't know the way of the earth and humanity. After Lu Gui finished saying this, whether it was Zhen Yuanzi, or Zai sisters, or the boy in Huangzhong on the side, and the Queen Mother of the West, they all looked confused. Flood desolate tunnel, desolate humane? What is a person? The host broke the secret of heaven and earth, authentic and humane. Breaking news level S, reaction level, Convinced. Overall rating, S. The host gets a reward, a wisp of Honghuang purple chi. The host gets a bonus supernatural power, the will of time. The host has gained mana for 300,000 years. The host obtains the origin of power, and the origin of change is 1. The host splitting the heavens is complete, and the supernatural power is promoted. Heaven splitting divine palm evolution divine power, open heaven 3 styles, remnant. At the moment when Lu Gui broke the news, the system reward came as scheduled. Honghuang purple gas. This reward surprised Lu Gui, and it was a wisp of Honghuang purple energy. Nowadays, the heavenly Dao people just lack a wisp of Dao foundation. Just right. The Honghuang purple chi rewarded by the system is far purer than that given by Hongjun. The purple gas given by Hongjun is only light purple, and there are impurities, and the purple gas of the system is only pure purple. He took a deep breath and put away the purple chi first. The will of time, heavenly Dao divine power. Lu Gui directly studied this magical power silently, and the law of time instantly surrounded him. His time avenue, without deliberately studying, has also made great progress. This supernatural power is no worse than the 5-color divine light, 1 gas, and 3 clears. The law of time is one of the 10 supreme laws of the 3,000 great avenues. It is also the most mysterious law. Except for a small number of people in this desolation, such as the ancestral witch Candle Juyin, not many people have mastered the law of time. Even if it is Candle Juyin, who has mastered the law of time, Lu Gui believes that he does not have this kind of supernatural power. However, all of this is not as good as the last reward. It has been tens of thousands of years since Lu Gui took over the mission from Zixiao Palace. Finally, he gathered enough 10 power sources to complete the task of splitting the heavens. Open Heaven 3 pose, remnant. Lu Gui directly chose to learn the supernatural powers that evolved after learning the heaven-splitting divine palm, and was pleasantly surprised. After the evolution of the heaven-splitting god palm, he was really pleasantly surprised. Open the sky 3 styles, Pangu supernatural power. This is not the supernatural power of Pangu to open the sky back then. Cut the chaos, fix the creation, and destroy the UN. Lu Gui muttered to himself. These 3 supernatural powers perfectly interpret Pangu's life. Opening the heavens and creating the world, there is only one last move, which seems to be the unfinished defect of Pangu. This move is incomplete, so the 3 styles of opening the sky are the residual words. Of course, the other 2 moves are not complete forms. In the future, I will naturally complete the Pangu divine power. These 3 tricks are in hand. Just talking about supernatural powers, I am invincible in the wilderness. Lu Gui cherished it and practiced Pangu's magical powers in his mind. He was delighted, but he ignored that everyone else was looking at him in amazement. Zhen Yuanzi couldn't help but ask. 6-eared senior, that authenticity, humanity, what does it have to do with me being calculated by Hongjun? Lu Gui was interrupted by Zhen Yuanzi, thought for a while and replied. Because Zhen Yuanzi is one of the chosen saints. What? Zhen Yuanzi and the others were stunned, they didn't expect to get this answer from Lu Gui. Lu Gui smiled. After your old friend died, did you lose your Dao heart? Zhen Yuanzi nodded. If it weren't for the seniors who reminded me in advance and let me have a force of revenge to support me, I'm afraid I would really go crazy. Lu Guidao, that's right, if you are disheartened and the Dao heart is lost, it is Hongjun's calculation. Hongjun is in harmony, and from now on there is a God in heaven. If it was the previous heavenly Dao, the Grand Duke was selfless and the Great Dao was ruthless, he would not interfere with the flood desolation and humanity, but Hongjun is different. He is the Dao of heaven, so he naturally wants to make the Dao of heaven exclusive, authentic, and humane. After awakening, he will only take away his authority. So he won't allow the birth of the flood desolate tunnel. You and the Wu clans who too are the 2 closest to the authentic, and he will definitely calculate you. Obstructing the earth, crippled humanity, this is our Dao ancestor, the calculation in his heart. After Lu Gui finished speaking, the system prompted again. The host broke the news, Honghuang secret, the level of revelation, S, the reaction level, convinced. Overall rating, S. The host obtains a fragment of the creation jade butterfly. The host gets a supernatural reward, breaking cause and effect. The host has gained mana for 300,000 years. The host obtains one origin of cause and effect and one origin of reincarnation. Rewarded again, Lu Gui received the third creation jade butterfly. At the same time, he obtained a new supernatural power, breaking cause and effect. Lu Gui carefully studied this supernatural power, and as the name suggests, it can cut off certain causes and effects temporarily, or forever. Although this magic power is not a killing magic power, it has a wonderful use. The origin of cause and effect, the origin of reincarnation. The laws on Lu Gui's body have increased a lot. The Tao in him is circulating, and it is becoming more and more mysterious. At this time, Zhen Yuanzi was completely confused. What Lu Gui said was very ridiculous, but Zhen Yuanzi really believed it. This stems from his confidence in Lu Gui's accurate judgment one by one, and the other is also because Zhen Yuanzi has a vague sense of his own Dao. He has always felt that his fate is not in Honghuang. Otherwise, I won't give up the opportunity to my friends. All the threads are strung together, and everything is clear and straightforward. Zhen Yuanzi's eyes flashed with monstrous anger. He pressed down, "Thank you, six-eared senior. Zhen Yuanzi, I am convinced by my predecessors, and I am willing to worship under the door of my predecessors for the seniors to drive." A great power of the wilderness knelt in front of Lu Gui like this. The Queen Mother of the West next to her widened her eyes in surprise and covered her mouth and shouted softly. When she and the Prince of the East established the immortal court, they also invited Zhen Yuanzi. Zhen Yuanzi doesn't even bird her and the Prince of the East. That's what happened later. Zhen Yuanzi is definitely the strongest among the 3,000 guests in Hongchen. He was a humble man, but he was proud. Can convince Zhen Yuanzi, that monkey. The Queen Mother of the West looked at Lu Gui with mixed emotions. Lu Gui nodded. However, he did not accept Zhen Yuanzi. "Brother Zhen Yuanzi, you and I can just have a heart-to-heart relationship, there is no need for this. You are also a future saint, how about our fellowship with our peers?" Zhen Yuanzi smiled bitterly. "Senior, since Dao ancestor calculates the authentic Dao, it seems that I have lost the opportunity to become an authentic saint. How can there be any future saint to speak of?" Lu Gui smiled. "I said yes, yes. Six-eared senior, you." Zhen Yuanzi sensed that Lu Gui had something to say, and was very surprised. With 6 seniors here, Zhen Yuanzi is full of confidence in the future. He had lost his Dao heart, but now he was full of energy, and without him, Zhen Yuanzi finally found his hope. "It's useless for you to know too much about the tunnels now. Go back to your Honghuang view, and the key is to achieve the peak of the quasi-saint as soon as possible, or the sub-saint." "Okay, senior, I'll close the door when I go back and wait for the seniors to summon. If my town Yuanzi succeeds in preaching one day, only the predecessors will be the first. If not, my heart will be broken, the holy throne will collapse, and there will be no place to bury my death." Hearing this, Lu Gui nodded. If this kind of words were placed on the ushers and would-be guides, he would not believe a word. But Zhen Yuanzi is an honest person, he believes in the other party's heart. "Let's go, by the way, there are 3 drops of Sangguang divine water here, you can take them to heal your injuries." Zhen Yuanzi didn't talk nonsense, took Lu Gui's Sangguang Shen Shui, and went out. Lu Gui handled the affairs of Zhen Yuanzi, turned around, and looked at the Queen Mother of the West. The Queen Mother of the West chuckled in her heart, What does this monkey want to do? Knowing such a big secret, he won't be trapped on Yingzhou Island forever? Speaking of Yingzhou Island, the Queen Mother of the West is a little reluctant to live here, and it seems that it is okay without intrigue. The Queen Mother of the West, Zai and Chang 11 are the first two Taoist friends to come to Yingzhou. You take them for a walk. Queen Mother West didn't expect that Lu Gui would actually arrange this task for her, and she nodded and took the task. Time is rising, and 10 years have passed. When Lu Gui came out of retreat, he heard Sister Chang 11 chatting. Fellow Queen Mother of the West, do you want to go, or don't you go? I don't know. The Queen Mother of the West and the Chang 11 sisters have also become good friends over the years. When Lu Gui heard this, he thought it was funny. He called the Queen Mother of the West, as well as many fairies. He said, fellow Taoists, your punishment is over, you can go. The Queen Mother of the West, the fairies, were shocked. Walk. They wanted to leave here every day, but as soon as Lu Gui said this, many people were stunned. The Queen Mother of the West is dim, and in the past 10 years, she has had the opportunity to serve this Yingzhou Island Lord at close range. I have to say, except that Daozu doesn't like it. This Dao ancestor can be called a great power. It's also a great virtue. Island owner, I don't want to leave. A fairy suddenly cried out and spoke her thoughts. Many fairies also nodded frequently. If the Queen Mother of the West was lost, there was finally someone who was tempted by Yingzhou Island and chose to stay. The bottom immortals, but no matter what Dao ancestor, Suinman. They didn't get more Dao benefits from Xixiao Palace. On the contrary, in Penglai Xianting, the Prince of the East lost the hearts of the people. Here the fairies are more comfortable. The fairy spoke, nervous. They mustered up their courage. If Lu Gui refused, they could imagine what would happen if they returned to the immortal court. However, Lu Gui was non-committal, but asked Huang Zhong if the boy was willing to take care of these people. The boy nodded. Lu Gui said, yes. Suddenly, the fairies cheered. Lu Gui turned to the Queen Mother of the West, where is Daiyu? The Queen Mother of the West shook her head, Daiyu, I Penglai, and there are many sisters. After she finished speaking, she looked at Lu Gui nervously, I will keep it a secret. Lu Gui smiled. Since Daiyu is leaving, I won't force you to stay. Send a word to Daiyu, Penglai will be destroyed. If Daiyu has nowhere to go then, you can come to me.